Welcome everyone to the Taylor School District regularly scheduled board meeting of December 20th, 2023, where our mission statement is to educate, engage, and empower those we serve, and our vision statement is that we will be the innovative destination district where all succeed. This meeting is called to order at 6:06 p.m. Mr. Heath.
Here.
Mr. Myers.
Here.
Mr. Thomas.
Here.
Mrs. Thomas.
Here.
Ms. Schupel.
Here.
Mr. Wright is here. Ms. Blau.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God. First up on our meeting is our best part of the meeting, which is our good news. Tonight, we have a few items of good news to share with you all, as well as following that, we have a board president update to honor individuals and the work that they've done for the school district over the past summer and year to make this building the new Board of Education. So first up, we have our Myers Elementary gifts, Ms. Jarvis.
Hi, good evening, everyone. So rarely do you get a project that I've seen that touches every single department in school. And this Myers Milky Cookies with Santa was definitely that. Every single department, a few of our board members, our directors, maintenance, everybody came together to make it a fabulous day for the kids at Myers, and it was just by happenstance that it kind of came together and it snowballed into a wonderful event. So we had gotten a donation from PetSmart from their foundation. Usually they try to give to bigger operations like Children's Hospital and Make-A-Wish. And the Family Resource Center for Taylor School District was the recipient this year. And so we kind of got rolling with that and got some wonderful donations from so many of our community partners and just our in-district people. And we had a wrapping day, which took forever. And we wrapped over 700 individual gifts. And then we also stuffed 350 backpacks for the kids. And then we went over that day and Santa came and we gave gifts to everyone and they were delivered. And then to top it all off, we had therapy dogs that went to the classrooms that weren't down in the event during that time, or for maybe some classes that it would be overwhelming in that environment. So we took the gifts to them and the therapy dogs kind of went around and Santa went and saw them as well. And then to top it off, a few of us rode the bus on the way home. And that was a wonderful experience. The kids were singing Christmas songs with us, and the staff at Myers was so accommodating, and the kids were so kind and appreciative. So I'm just really grateful that it was something that came together so nicely, and I couldn't say enough good things about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our good news is the Michigan Esports, and I believe we have Coach, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Hosian.
I want to first off say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Rick Posiak. I'm the coach for our esports team. There we go. So for everybody who doesn't know what esports is competitive video gaming. I know it's a little different, a little strange, but it's real. It's a big thing. Let's see here, we play against other high schools within the state of Michigan, all over the state. We actually had to become our own region because esports in Michigan is growing so rapidly. We used to be part of the Eastern Seaboard the first time we did it. We actually played against kids all and down the Eastern Seaboard, but Michigan is growing, so they made us our own region. But before I really get into anything, I want to give a special thank you to Justin Moore and Catherine Hilton. They helped me coach, take time out of their busy schedules Ms. Hilton's not here today, I don't think. Justin's here. Also Amy Murphy and Jennifer Ferrer for helping me set up the esports labs. We spent the summertime over at the Career Center North building, preparing 2 rooms, wiring, painting, all that stuff. There we go. A little bit of the painting we were doing. There's our team, or some of the team. I also want to give a shout out to John Ross and Matthew Redu for being ambassadors for the program. They were really kind of the, my voice in your guys' ears, really, to help it. So I started esports for the district to give the students an outlet to further their education is the main thing. Competitive video gaming is big business and it continues to grow each year. Annually, the gaming industry is worth $90 billion worldwide, with over $15 million given out in student scholarships across the country. So kids nowadays can earn a scholarship for playing video games. You see, not every child is born with the ability to play or compete in sports. Collegiate video games gives those students the opportunity to continue their education doing something they enjoy. Colleges all over the country and the world now recruit for esports. So it only made sense to start this program, try to get ahead of where it's going, and hopefully we can pioneer the industry at a high school level. Instead of trying to play catch up, we'll be out in the forefront of it. The way esports works is the high school students play through a platform called PlayVersus. With that platform, the high school students, high school teams, the students can connect with one another and set up matches, compete in their favorite game titles. Match records are kept, their wins, losses, even rivalries are formed. There are 2 seasons for every 1 school year. We have a fall and a spring season. In the fall, we play from September to December, and that season's championships are played at Oakland University up in Sterling Heights. And then in the spring championship, it's played in Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo. This past fall season, we had every single team we field made the playoffs. Okay. So for this past season, we had 2 students who represented our district. Aaron Mayfield is a junior from the high school, went undefeated in NFL Madden 24. He went to the state championships on December 7th. Unfortunately, despite his best efforts, he lost. He placed 2nd in the state of Michigan, but is ranked currently #1 in the state of Michigan for the game. And if you like that, you're gonna love this because he's actually ranked #7 in the country, according to USA Today High School Sports.
That's amazing.
Oh, that must be good. So some more pictures of our lab we set up. We also have a student named Michael Geis, who's also represented the Taylor School District well this season. Michael's a senior for the high school and plays in the Rocket League team. He is also one of our team's captains and was invited to compete in the Shoutcasters Showdown at Ferris State in Northern Michigan this year. He likes to do streaming, and when he does the streaming, he does play-by-play calls. That's the best way I can say it. There, he competed with other students in play-by-play commentary for streaming esports matches. He placed 1st in the competition and was invited to do play-by-play calling at the state championship this past season at Oakland University. During the event, he was able to make connections with numerous college esports directors, coaches, and staffs. Michael is also the subject of a news article produced by Fox 2 Detroit. They covered a whole section on him with his accomplishments and shoutcasting and everything he does within the esports community. As you can see in the 2.5 short years that we've run this program, we have been successfully uplifting and representing the Taylor School District. We hope to continue the support and help us find the means of funding, as we're not part of athletics. So therefore we have to come up with all the funding ourselves. We rely on funding and grants to the district. We continue to strive to be the best to represent the Taylor School District with pride. The goal, of course, is to make and keep the Taylor School District on top of the competition. I want to say thank you for your time, for giving me to speak tonight. It's something I hold very dear. Again, I started it for the main objective to giving these kids another way to continue their education. That's the main thing here. But if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to ask. I got a lot more information than that. Just this was dumbed down, I guess you could say. Again, I want to say thank you for everybody for their help and thank everybody here for helping us make this possible.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do.
So the last piece of good news tonight, in keeping in line with the sports, we have the honor of honoring the Kenyon girls Biddy ball basketball team who's here with us tonight. And they won the district championship at the Biddy ball tournament. So Kenyon Elementary girls Biddy ball team are now the Taylor School District's girls Biddy ball champions. And so we wanted to bring them here tonight and honor each of them. Their coach Greg Long is here. I'm gonna go through the list of the players that are being honored tonight. I'll give Mr. Long a few moments to say a few words. And then once I call your name, if you could see Miss Schufelt down here, we have a special gift for each of you.
I guess I'd like to start off by congratulating the Kenyon girls basketball team on winning the championship. Oh, it's not my phone. Good. I'm proud to call them champions. I'd like to spend a minute or so talking about their accomplishments, but before I do that, I'm going to give a little background information on the two teams that were in the championship game. Taylor Parks, they were an amazing team. They went the whole regular season undefeated. Kenyon, they only lost one game during the regular season, and that was to Taylor Parks. And they spent every minute of practice after that loss preparing for a rematch against Taylor Parks. And they stepped up to the occasion and beat Taylor Parks 12-9. And I must add also, Taylor Parks usually averaged around 30 points a game, and they held them to 9 points. Really to see their growth from the team that lost 20-6 to the team that won the championship. I mean, I can't express how proud me and Mrs. Brady are of them. And then not just us, it's also the whole Kenyon family. Everyone's proud of them. I'd like to also give a shout out to our student assistant coach, Kyle Bell. He's a 6th grader at West. He helped out at practice wherever we needed him. Even in the last week of practice, he even played the role of a Taylor Parks girl during our scrimmage. So, congratulations. I also want to give a shout out to Coach Simons, Coach Putnam, and Coach Ford at the high school for taking the time to organize the league and volunteering their time every week for the games. I mean, without them, this could have never happened. And really, Taylor's lucky to have this league because most districts don't offer any elementary sports. So we're lucky to have it here in Taylor. So really happy about that. And they're ready to defend their title next year.
So as I call your name, if you could step up here, Ms. Schufelt is over here. And then if you could remain standing facing your parents, I know they're gonna want photos of you up here. So just face your parents and make sure you see Ms. Schufelt down at the end. And I'm sorry too, if I mispronounce names, please correct me, all right? I have Aria Spencer. Michaela Bray. Micaiah Bray. Maddie Mix, is it Spavins? Then we have Melina. And then we have Caitlin Sterling. Nina Knight. All right. Is it Messiah? Okay. Abby Bell. Maya. All right, that. Mackenzie Morisi. Sophia Sadler. Kenzie Fisher. Is it Kinsley Wynn. Janaya Edwards. And lastly, but not least, we have Jessla Hubbard. I just want to say congratulations and amazing work this season. We're looking forward to seeing what y'all produce next year, all right? And parents, I know you want photos, so. Right. Can we give them a round of applause one more time? Thank you all. Appreciate it. So next we have on the agenda, the board president update. One of the things that I wanted to take the time to do, and the board did and the cabinet, was recognize the amazing work that our maintenance staff, support staff did over the past summer and year to transform this building into the Board of Education office. Tonight, we are here and we are honoring each one of them that put the amazing work and effort into making this building look beautiful. I can tell you now, it did not look like this probably a year ago, but they put every ounce of energy into making sure that this building was beautiful. And it just shows how amazing the staff we have here are and the amount of dedication and the work that they can produce. And so tonight, we just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for making this place a new home for us. Thank you for making this a new place in the home for the community to come here, to congregate, to honor our students. It's a beautiful space to be able to do this. And it's also a great place for our families to come when they first step into the Taylor School District and see, because it's the hard work that each of you put into this building. So tonight, we wanted to thank you. We have little gifts, gift bags for you all. And so as I call your name, if you could come up, and we're gonna also ask you to stay up here if you want to. That way we can get a photo of you at the very end, just so that we can put that out there to the rest of the community, the amazing work that you did today or throughout this time to make this building beautiful. So the first person we have is Denise Armstrong. We have, okay, if I mispronounce the names too, just please correct me, I swear. Diane Atkari. I know this person because I saw him every single day, I feel like this week. Eric is it Bardrum? All right. We have Tamra, is it Beard? Beard. We have Kelly Beckham. We have Sean Burgley. Abby, is it Borbina? Not here? All right. We have Mike Carr, is it Carte? Carr, all right. We have Andrea Case. Joe Contreras. Ken Dantini. All right. Oh, did I say Ken or Dan? Oh, I said Ken, okay. I thought I almost called you Dan. We have Justin Darkey. Don't be shy too, we can start making a line over here. We have Brett Davis. Ray Fisk. Jennifer Fur. I don't know if this guy should come up here or not, but he's standing in the back. He's hiding over there. Jack Gerard. We have Anna Golej. Chuck Hanna. David Heatherly. We have Kim Krupp or Krupp. Austin Lake. Lisa LeBlanc. Gina McClure. Justin Moore. Amy Murphy. This was the guy that was truly hiding in the back. Patrick Neslick. Then we have Rick, is it Navu? Then we have Kathy O'Donnell. This individual that I'm calling next, I remember her from when I was in elementary at Blair Moody. She took care of that building like crazy, and that is Doris Clemens. Huh? I know. We're at Johnson now, so. Then we have Richard. Okay, I know you just told me, but I can pose you. All right. We have the guy behind the screen, Matthew Radu. We have the head guy behind the screen, John Ross. We have Mike Savoy. Brian Schmitling. Did I get that right? Aaron Spencer. Sam Tratisco. Sam Tratisco. Mike Usher. Phil Waldo. Where's Waldo? Do we know where Waldo is? Mark Westfall. And last but not least, Reagan Worthy. Jeremy Moore. All right. And then Jeremy Morris. And then is there anyone else? All right. I just wanted to say thank you all again. Seriously, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for your dedication, the hard work that each of you put in. And honestly, it's going to be a testament of time because this building will forever be our Board of Education because of the work you all did. So thank you. Thank you for creating a legacy here in the Taylor School District. You're all good. So at this point, if we had any parents or any community members, we want to open the floor up for anybody that would like to leave. They're more than welcome to. I know it's a school night, but for those that want to stay during the meeting, you're more than welcome to stay as well. All right, moving on to item number 5, the revisions / approval of the agenda. Ms. Block?
Are there any revisions of the agenda? Hearing none, I will ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Myers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Heath. Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Shufel?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Ms. Black is a yes. Mr. Heath?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Moving on to item number 6 of our agenda, our scheduled reports. Tonight, we have the Michigan Department of Education, Rochelle Bowerman. All right. And she is an instructional consultant to talk to us.
I am, and I know how to clear a room. Look at that. Thank you all so much for having me with you here this evening. I'm not just crashing a party. I was actually asked to come here. I only go where I'm asked. I know better. I was able to work with your counselors and some of your administration, Dr. Lewis, back in the very end of August, and kind of did a longer version of what I'm going to do with you tonight. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure. So we're going to do a very shortened version of what I did with your staff, and really my position at the department, even though we have kind of long obnoxious titles, in a snippet, my position is really to support all of our 800 plus districts with implementing the graduation requirements, right? And so a lot of you might be thinking, well, those aren't new. They've been in place for a long time, and they have. But there are a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings and misnomers and all sorts of things kind of going around, and they have been going around. It's nothing new since this law was passed back in '06. So what they asked me to do today was just to plant some seeds, maybe let you know some of those flexibility options that are built into that legislation that go underutilized and kind of unused across the state. Just for you as leadership in a district to say, are there places where we may be able to make some slight changes or modifications to do better by our students, to follow the graduation requirements a little closer possibly? And I bet you'll hear something that surprises you by what I'm going to share about our graduation requirements. So what I did share that you'll get, I don't think you have it yet, but I did share with you just a copy of this short presentation, and then also a couple other documents that you have for your reference. You can go ahead and go to the next slide, if you will. So I'm going to blow up a section of this one pager in just a second, but you also are getting an electronic, or you'll have a printed copy in your office by tomorrow, I'm told. So basically what this one pager is it's just a very succinct cheat sheet version of our graduation requirements in Michigan. You know, those 18 credits we all know and love, or maybe don't love so much. But either way, we're all stuck with the same 18 credits. So these 18 credits, and for the next 5 minutes, I'm hoping that you can turn off that little part of your brain that's going to say, well, that's the way we've always done it, or that's how I always thought they were. Turn that off just for a second and just be open to listening how the graduation requirements were intended to be taken up by our districts and implemented for our students. So I'm gonna go to the next slide, but then I'm gonna go back to that one in just a second. So all of the graduation requirements that we have in Michigan are not bound. Is that me or is that?
We love technology.
Take back his gift bag. So there's a couple main ideas for our graduation requirements in Michigan. Two of them, as a matter of fact. The first premise that these graduation requirements were built on was that they were meant to be void of a time constraint. So when you read the graduation requirements on this document or any other one, you will never find the word years, because years are actually not a part of our graduation requirements. They're all meant to be based on our content standards and the learning. That time piece, while relevant to other parts of our system, is not relevant to the requirements. So I'm going to give you one example just to cement that idea. So English is on the top. The requirement for English is 4 credits, not 4 years. A student could earn those 4 credits in 4 days or 4 months or 6 years. It's all dependent on what's right under that, where it says proficiency in the content standards. So as you probably know, we've adopted the Common Core for English and math. There's a list of high school ELA Common Core standards. Those are the graduation requirements. The other thing that you won't find listed there are names of courses. So it doesn't say ELA 9, ELA 10, ELA 11, ELA 12, because those are not required. The requirement is those high school ELA standards that we've adopted as a state. And once a student learns those standards, that's when they're supposed to earn those 4 credits. That gives a district autonomy, flexibility. I always use the analogy that at that point, we throw the football to all of you. And you all have to decide, how are we going to take those standards and split them up into courses and figure out when students have learned them to be able to grant that credit, right? So let me do one more example just to cement the idea a little bit further. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So right here, what you see on the screen is 3 math standards. These are 3 standards from our adopted math content standards, AKA the Common Core. So these are 3 different standards. There's one on polynomials, there's one on, and then the other 2 are on zeros and factors of polynomials, right? And I know that doesn't mean a lot to non-math people. I don't know that it means a lot to me. But the requirement by law said that in Michigan, students have to learn those 3 things along with a whole bunch of other math stuff in order to earn those 4 credits. Here's my analogy again. At that point, we have to throw the football to you. Because we don't have a preference if they learn those in a class called algebra, a class called algebra 2, a class called math functions, or a class called name the class. It doesn't matter where they learn those standards, or it doesn't matter how long it takes, but in order to earn those credits, they're supposed to learn that math content. And that's a little different than how most people perceive our requirements, right? They perceive our requirements to be, well, the student has to sit in algebra 1, and then they have to sit in algebra 2, and they have to sit in geometry. And while that could be the case where you are in Taylor, that may be how you've split up the standards. They don't necessarily have to be split up that way or in those increments. So some schools could have those traditional courses, but you could also take that content, cover it in different places and award the same credit. So when I was listening to the gentleman speak about esports, my mind was going, holy moly, all the standards those kids are learning in esports. So if they learn some of this math or some science or some ELA in esports, they can absolutely earn credit from that. Doesn't matter that it's not a class called algebra or ELA 9. Doesn't matter if it's during the school day. The law says they have to learn the content. Wherever they learn it and however long it takes is up to that individual district to make that decision. So I'm going to show you just one more example with science. In science, in Michigan, the requirement isn't biology, chemistry, physics, earth science, or 3 years of science. The requirement in Michigan is what's in the gray square. It says science standards 71. 71 is the number of science standards that we have in Michigan. There are 71 bits of information that we require students learn in order to earn those 3 credits. That's where our authority ends as a Department of Ed and as a lawmaker. That's where we toss the football to you all, and you all get to decide, how are we going to take those 71 standards and make them relevant and engaging and awesome for students? How are we going to assess that they've learned them, and how are we going to grant those 3 credits? So that's a very traditional pathway. Biology, chemistry, physics, each of them covers some. Many districts do it that way, but you don't have to do it that way. One more slide. Some districts do it this way. They split all those 71 standards into a science A and a science B. Each of them covers half. Each of them would be worth a credit and a half. Do you have to make them longer? No. Could you? Yes. That's always up to you as a district, right? So the point being, sometimes we have to take a step back and reflect what the actual requirement is, because it's not a mystery. I don't love standardized testing and those state assessments any more than anyone. But guess what? Guess what they're assessed on in science in 11th grade? The 71 standards, right? So it all goes together, and it's that word proficiency that we really want to make sure we're hitting on when it comes to students. Are they learning the content, and can they demonstrate it? Go ahead and go forward 2 more if you would. So this is where I think that the role of your leadership and your school board comes in to action. Because when we think about, so the law basically states students have to become proficient. That's a loaded word already, proficient, because what does proficient mean? Does it mean they got a D-? I don't like that definition. Does it mean they got an A? Does it mean they passed the final? Does it mean they showed up every day and brought a pencil? You get to decide what proficiency means. But according to that MMC law, it means they learned it. They have demonstrated that they learned it, and that's what credit is based on. So one thing that districts have to kind of wrap their minds around is what are the policies and practices that we have in a district that outline proficiency, right? What does that mean? And when is a student truly proficient? And only you can decide that as a district. But the idea of these requirements is that we care less about time and about course name, and that we really shift more to the idea of here's what we want students to learn. Here's the proof that they have learned it, right? So that's the premise behind that whole bundle of 18 credits. It's not about the time, it's not about the course name, it's about those standards and making sure that we have mastery, that students have mastery of those before they leave us. Go ahead and go forward a couple more, one more. So you can do that one so that all the content shows. So one of the areas of another area of flexibility is that one of the foundational pieces of this law was that those MMC 18 credits can be met in a million different ways, not just courses or not just traditional courses. So one way that a student could earn a math credit is in a class called algebra, absolutely. But they could also earn a math credit in a class that covers science and math together. We love that. If you do that, I will come back and visit. We will highlight you for the rest of the state because we love integration. That's how content is supposed to work, right? So many classes right now have a class called US History that also gives an ELA credit. We love that. That's how ELA is supposed to be provided and instructed around. If they learn that content in CTE courses, the credit is equivalent. We don't care if they learn the science and physics or the CTE program down the road. Doesn't matter. As long as they learn it, then they earn that credit. Outside of school activities, like I mentioned with the esports or even the basketball, if they're doing something like that outside of school that gets them to mastery, they can absolutely earn credit. It doesn't have to be in a classroom. So you have opportunities to award credits for other things. Testing out is another way that the law supports students earning credit without having to take a class. My bumper sticker, when I can make it, is going to say, if you learn it, you earn it. Because that's the premise behind the whole idea of the MMC, is that you can't earn credit unless you have that learning or that mastery. So the last thing I want to mention is that aside from the requirements, there's a lot of inroads in this law to waive things, right? So we recognize, and this law recognizes, that every student doesn't need the same classes to become career and college ready. I think I probably stand with a united front saying there are some students who don't necessarily need Algebra 2 to be career and college ready, right? Well, there are places in this law for you to be able to waive certain requirements for students and still have them earn a diploma, as long as we do it with integrity and we keep that student's post-school goals intact, and that's what we're working towards. So you have a couple options for science and world language where you can waive a credit, not going to be on their transcript, they're not going to earn it, and you can do that if they're in a CTE program. So if you have a student that's going to be in the culinary program, 2-year program, you can waive some MMC credits that they're not going to need to take because those things don't align with their post-school goal. So science is one and world language is one. And those do not, if you've ever heard that term personal curriculum, that's also in my wheelhouse. We're not going to get into it too much today, but these two waivers, you don't need a personal curriculum. Every other waiver, you would need a personal curriculum. So go ahead and go to 2 more. That's the high school website that I just wanted to show you. Everything I'm saying today and referencing, you can find on that website. I think if you hit it 3 more times, you're going to pop up with some arrows. So if you really want to do some great light reading over Christmas break, I would suggest checking out the FAQ. It's going to tell you that Algebra 2 isn't a requirement in Michigan. Never has been, right? It's not about the course, it's about the content. So if you want to check out that FAQ, there's a lot of information there. All of our standards are linked in that bottom section. You can hit it, I think 1 more time. I'm not going to go into the personal curriculum waiver today because I think that's kind of a bigger, more in-depth conversation, but I just wanted to reiterate that the Michigan Merit Curriculum is not intended to be one size fits all. It was never intended so that every student took the same courses for 4 years. I would argue that if all of your students are taking the same courses for 4 years, we're doing it wrong. And that was never the intent of the Michigan Merit Curriculum. It was intended to be able to say, you student A want to be a welder. What should I help you do during those 4 years to prepare you to become a welder? And if that doesn't involve certain classes, and it should involve certain experiences, you can do that within the law. It's there to allow you that flexibility to make those changes and to waive things and to make it so that a student's 4 years is engaging and relevant and meaningful for them and only them. So I just wanted to plant some seeds about that MMC conversation as I'm working with your district. They said, hey, our board might be making policies that affect this. They might not understand when we ask them to count a student's work outside of school as a credit because they might think that's not allowed. It is allowed. We love that, right? You can absolutely give credit for those kinds of things. You just have to decide to do that as a district. And that is always your choice. It is your diploma. Not mine or not ours, not the department's. It is your diploma. So you get to decide what it means and when a student earns it. You can go ahead and go. So when you get this, there's some other stuff in here. You can go to the very last one. So there's some other stuff in here. And if you have further questions or thoughts, you can certainly reach out to me. The last one I think has, yeah, my contact information. You can certainly reach out to me. And if you want to have a deeper dive into more of that personal curriculum stuff, just reach out. We can do a 20-minute phone call or whatever makes sense. And I can help you through that as well. So that's all I got.
Thank you. We
Yes, you're
appreciate
welcome.
it. Thank you. You can give a round of applause. Moving on to item number 7 in our agenda, we have our discussion items. First on our discussion, we have out-of-state field trip request, Cedar Point. Miss Tragedy. I think it's Victoria. Are you on Zoom? If you could raise your hand on the Zoom, so that way our moderator can unmute.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Doing well.
Good. Happy to hear it. I'm Victoria Frangidakis. I know my video is not on, but hopefully you guys can all hear me. I'm the choir director over at West Middle School. Me and my kind of co-teacher, my mentor teacher, Joanne Farmer, who's the band director over at West, are taking our kids hopefully on a field trip to Cedar Point. We do this every year. It's a great motivating tool for the kids. It's a great social opportunity for the students. They work all year to be able to go to this field trip. So tonight I'm just here to ask your approval for going out of state to Sandusky to our Cedar Point annual field trip. Do you have any questions for me?
Any discussion? No, thank you. Moving on to item number 2, we have the overnight field trip request, Imagination Station, and we have Miss Bell who's on Zoom. If you could raise your hand so that we can recognize them.
Hi, everybody. It's Lori Bell. I am just requesting permission to take my kids, 5th graders, to Imagination Station in Toledo, Ohio. I know you said overnight, Kyle. It's just a day trip.
Is there any discussion? Thank you, Ms. Bell.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 3, we have our overnight conference request, the Michigan Music Conference. Ms. Gray.
I'm wondering if Miss Frangidakis. Okay, perfect. Hello.
We have Brian.
Hi, I'm Brian Mazurek. I'm the band director at the high school. I would be one of the teachers going on this. So this is to the Michigan Music Conference in January. We were able to go last year and it was myself and a couple other teachers that were able to go, music teachers in the district. It was a great way for us to kind of get to talk with each other, meet with each other. The Michigan Music Conference is for professional development for teachers all across Michigan for band, choir, elementary. So it's a really great networking opportunity for us. There's a lot of performances from local schools. The Dundee High School Band is going to be there this year. It's a huge honor to play, to take your group to the Michigan Music Conference. So we get to go see them. It's going to be a great time. So it's January 25th through the 27th. And we're really, really grateful that the district is able to send us again. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any discussion? Thank you.
Thank you. I want to say this is beautiful too. So thank you to the maintenance staff that made this happen. This is great. So.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 4, we have the TAXA, TPA, TFT, and 26M TSSSA MOUs.
So in recent days, we have been hearing quite a bit from various principals, various directors, various leadership throughout the district that they do have concerns that we are going to see quite an influx in retirements coming forward. And basically, as we're planning into this time of year where we're going to have to build master schedules for buildings, we're going to have to plan that coursework or the schedules of how that's going to look from building to building. It behooves us to have the data of how many teachers, how many employees, how many support staff, how many principals are considering retiring at this point. In the contracts for TAXA, TPA, and TFT, they currently have a clause in there that states that if you notify the district by March 15th that you are going to retire at the end of the year, that those employees will get a $1,000 bonus. We felt with the amount of retirements that we could potentially be facing, waiting till March 15th was waiting too long to get that information. So we proposed to our unions that if we move that up to February 2nd, we would give them $2,000. This would be for TAXA, TPA, and TFT to notify us of that, that they are considering that movement. In 26M's contract, there is no such language for notifying the district in advance that there's going to be retirement. We also felt that this was something that should be applied to all of our staff, because this is something where we have to plan for every part of the school district. So we did reach out, we did offer to them that there would be a $750 bonus if 26M members do notify us that they're going to retire by the end of the school year, and that would be paid upon when that retirement comes. For TAXA, TFT, and TPA, the language for how that's going to be paid out is already in their contracts. But with 26Ms, again, we had to get creative and put it there. And we did put it that this would be a offline check that they would receive upon retirement.
Is there any discussion? Moving on to item number 5, new hire, special education director. Mr. Whitaker.
It is my pleasure to announce that we are bringing to the board tonight the proposal to hire Erica Smith as our new special ed director. Erica has been with the school district as a special education teacher for over 25 years. I've personally known her going back when I was a long-term substitute at West Middle School. So what she brings on board that I can personally attest to is she's very good at building relationships with students and staff. She is also somebody who does not ever shy away from the challenge. That is what drives her at her core. And I think that she is going to be a very good fit for what we have going forward and what our district is going to need with our special education needs.
Is there any discussion? I just want to make it clear. The funding for the position comes from special education.
Yes.
And that is separate from the district's work that is set by us. Moving on to item number 6, new hire, Dean of Students. Ms. Graham.
Hello, I'd like to present to the board that we would like to put forth Ryan Bibby to be the Dean of Students at West Middle School. He's currently a 6th grade English language arts teacher at West. And so this is a building Title I funded position. So we're putting that forth to the board tonight.
And what you said this was for us.
Yes,
And that was because the individual that was in the position left.
correct. And this position was vacant.
So it's just replacing those are.
Correct.
Any other discussion? Moving on to new hire, student support provider. Ms. Grant.
The student support provider position is a brand new one for Myers Elementary. This is paid out of the RAG grant, the Regional Assistant Grant, because Myers is one of our PA schools. We're in a partnership agreement with the Department of Ed and RISA. They give us additional money to spend on our schools that need additional assistance. The student support provider position will service kindergarten through 2nd grade. We are happy to recommend Miguel Vargas for this position. He's currently the professional development sub in Myers. So he's already a part of the Myers community. They know and love him there. So this would be just transferring him to a different role in that same building.
And you said this was paid out of the funding we get from NDP to support our schools that are.
Correct, the RAG grant, the Regional Assistance Grant.
Now, when this grant ends, is the position written when the grant ends that that position would end?
That is correct.
It would end.
It would end, the position would end.
So I said, once, no. Once the position ends, because it's grant funded, will that position then no longer exist in the district? And Ms. Graham?
That is correct. I rest my case.
I will move this closer. Is that better? All right. Next, we have number 8, the Johnson Moody parking lot. Mr. Wager. Oh, Mr. Kent. Yes.
Good evening. Gary Kent, Plant Brand Rail Point, here to present the award recommendation for the Taylor School District Civil Engineering Services RFP. Back in October, we were directed to reach out to firms to get a proposal from them in order to design and bid out and provide construction documents for the parking lot repairs at Johnson Elementary and Blair Moody. We received both proposals from 2 firms. You'll actually see a bid breakdown on the following page from Spalding Decker and PEA Group. Both firms have a history of providing services that meet the criteria of the proposal in the RFP. The award recommendation that we are presenting tonight would be going to PEA Group for an amount of $36,700 and the project contingency amount of $20,000 for any unforeseen scope increases or any unforeseen conditions. Total award recommendation for this project is $56,700. Again, any unused contingency amount will be returned to the board at a later date. I would present those savings. You can see again the bid breakdown on the following page between the 2 firms. Very close proposals. There's a difference of $1,300 between the 2. Both firms included both hourly rates, experiencing similar size projects, and they expect the project to be completed within the required number of days in the proposal. The anticipated schedule for this project is actually they're going to be starting the surveying today. So they were out there already getting a head start. We'll start the design and have bid documents in January so that we can bid it out, bring it to the board for a recommendation in February, and then start construction in that parking lot in the summer. So that's ready for school next year.
So the project is expected to be done before the start of school next year.
Correct. Following pages, you'll see their proposal laying out all the services that they'll provide, whether it's the survey, construction documents, schematic design, permitting assistance, etc. Any questions regarding this award recommendation?
Thank you.
Thank you.
What kind of things would happen that they'd have to use the $20,000?
So one example is originally the scope you can see on page 2 of the proposal was just a portion of the Blair Moody parking lot. We've actually increased that, or the district's increased that scope to include the whole parking lot so that we're not just redoing part of it. It'll be all redone at the same time so that you're not doing part of it now and then having to come back a few years later. We actually have received proposals since then for the amount of $2,800. So that would cover, that would be included in that $20,000.
Any other discussion? Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 9, we have our first reading of policy updates and revisions. We have policy 1540, the administrative staff reduction / recalls. We have policy 2370.01, online / blended learning program. We have policy policy 7217, which is weapons. Policy 8305, information security. And lastly, we have policy 8531, free and reduced price meals. Discussion. Moving on to item number 10, the Taylor School District Utilization Plan. I believe we have a presentation that will be on the screens on the side of the room. Feel free to move if you can't see. Matt, are we able to get the sound? Once again, technical difficulties. All right, we can walk through it.
So the presentation that you're about to see is something that we started to roll out and inform our staffs about earlier today. A while back, before I was in as superintendent, we did have a utilization study done to kind of check out what the infrastructure needs were going to be for our buildings going forward into the future. And as part of that process, they also gave us figures on how well we were utilizing the buildings we currently have in the school district. So when we win that process and we got that report back, we started to kind of have an idea of what the needs were going to be going forward. Unfortunately, what we also discovered as we were going through this process and we were getting this report and information back, we did find some concerning items that were in our 5-year budget projection. And that's something we are going to kind of talk through in a few moments. But things that we noticed that they need to be addressed so that we don't have issues going forward. And that essentially by the end, when we finish this school year and we go into the next school year, we are going to be operating in a operating deficit. And in the first year, we would be in an operating deficit of around $4.8 million. And then by the end of year 5, we would be close to a $6 million operating deficit. Obviously, that is not a place that we want to be as a school district. That is just fiscally irresponsible to continue down that path and have that money coming out of the school district. We are thankful that currently we have a very healthy fund balance. We have a fund balance that is at 50% currently, but as you'll see when we pull up the slides here in a little bit, you're going to see that that fund balance is going to start dropping due to that operating deficit. And if we don't correct that, we are going to eat up what's in our fund balance.
So I can pick it up from here. As Mike was talking about how we got here today, the key issue with where we came from is regarding our ESSER $3. What we discovered was that our previous administration, what they did was they allocated all $28 million of the ESSER III funds to salaries and benefits. When the state came out with the ESSER III funds, it was recommended that it not be used for salaries and benefits. That was the state's recommendation and advice.
Or if you did it in a way that it would not affect your legacy costs and not affect something that you have to go forward. Like several school districts, they would give to recognize how hard their employees worked during those difficult times of virtual instruction and school shutdown. They would give them a 3% bonus that was a one-time off-schedule payment, and therefore it wasn't something that would roll over as constantly into salaries and benefits.
So as we started to uncover a lot of these findings in the district's finances, one of the key things that we wanted to do to make sure that the numbers were accurate was ensure that our auditors review the numbers and the projections that our district was headed in. Our auditors did review and they confirmed that the numbers that we are showing you, which you'll see on the screen momentarily, if we can go to that slide. That is what the auditors confirmed our district to be headed towards. So you can see that in the 2021, 2022, 23 school year, our fund balance was positive. In the current school year, we're expected to end with a fund balance of 50.7%. At the end of the ESSER dollars, which again expire in September of 2024, those salaries and benefits that the last administration put in the ESSER III funds have to be absorbed by our general fund. This in lieu puts us in an operating deficit, as you can see happen. So you can see that our overall, my face is in the way. Yes. The overall total expenditures increased from 60,629,352 to 75,483,968 for the next school year. That is that ESSER III funds moving into our general fund. Now, on the point of how we didn't discover that, that is because on the last day of our previous CFO, that is when the board was presented with these numbers. These projections were not being shared with the Board of Education leading up until that last day of our previous CFO. From that moment on, the board had to work with our new administration as Mike started in September, and this is when the discovery occurred, was in September, to work towards creating a plan because our district was on a path of deficit in the next following school year of operating deficit.
And we're very thankful too that Edwina Hill, our new CFO, as she's come on board, she has discovered and noticed that with those ESSER III funds, that about 13.8 million of it is what has actually gone out currently. So we are able to rectify and not make this where a whole 28 million would affect that general fund. So we are in the process of reconciling that application for ESSER III and making sure that it is accurate to what we report to the state and going forward.
So if we go to the next slide. So as a result of this, the board had to look at how is our district going to be covering the deficit that we are going to be facing in the next school year, the operating deficit. Our fund balance will still sustain the operating deficit, but not for long. We only have a certain amount of time. So as you can see in this slide, this was done as a utilization study. The board hired Plant Moran Cressa to conduct a district-wide utilization study. This utilization study came back with numbers. Again, the numbers were a little inflated just because when they walked through our buildings, they just took the number of classrooms and what they did was multiply it by the contractual amount in the teachers' contracts. We know that that's not realistic. So over the past few weeks and months, I walked through these buildings and talked with building administrators to review the numbers of our buildings to make sure that these numbers are accurate and that we adjust to not have these inflated rates. These buildings we know are unique, and what we saw was that you can't fit 35 kids in every single classroom across the district. Sometimes there's not just the physical space for that. So we walked through the buildings, we were able to physically see those classrooms and adjust those numbers. And this, the blue table, as you're seeing, is what our current buildings are operating as. You can see that with the data that we collected in person, based on a count of 28 kids per class, these are the projections of what the capacities are for all of those buildings. Now you can see in the next column over, the third blue column, is the current building enrollment for the 23-24 school year. Those numbers are what was submitted to the state of Michigan and certified as our student counts for each of those buildings. So those numbers show that we are below in every single building the capacity of those buildings. A critical piece is the last column that you see in the blue slide, which is the current building utilization. It's critical to look at this percentage because the state of Michigan recommends that school districts' buildings be between 80 to 90% utilized. What that means is that the building is able to financially sustain itself. There's enough kids in the building to sustain the cost of operating that building. So as you can see in our presentation, that only 2 of our schools right now are within that 80% threshold that the state of Michigan recommends. All of our other schools, we have 2 that fall in the 70% range, and then we have 4 elementaries that fall within the 60% range, with our Hoover Middle School being at 69% and our West Middle School being at 72%. So when we looked at these utilization numbers, the building capacities, the enrollment of these buildings, we know that there was room and there was wiggle room in the district to be able to consolidate, to save money so that we are able to eat away at that deficit that the district is heading into. So working with multiple leaders in the district, we developed the consolidation plan that you see right there in the green. Before we get into the utilization piece of that, we want to take the time to kind of highlight what is that consolidation plan for the Taylor School District, and be open and honest with where we're headed in the next 2 years with the Taylor School District.
So basically, at this point, we realize that there are certain buildings that we are going to have to close and reposition students so that we are best utilizing our facilities and that we are being fiscally responsible going forward. So we really have to reimagine and reinvent the way we do things at both the elementary and at the middle school level. Essentially, at the end of this school year, the first movement that we would need to take place is that we would be closing Eureka Heights Elementary School, and that we would be moving the students from Eureka Heights to both Holland and to McDowell. From there, the plan as it currently states that we're putting forth right now, that we are proposing, would be that we are going to move Kenyon Elementary School at the end of this year to Johnson Elementary School, where the Early Childhood Center is, and the Early Childhood Center at Johnson will move to Eureka Heights. So those are the moves that we would be working on for the end of this school year. We would have Kenyon is going to sit vacant because it's going to be prepared for what happens in step 2 the following school year.
And in addition to the first year, we'll also be moving our utilities department out of its current building and moving it into the front end of Career Center North. So the classes that are still at Career Center North, the construction, the culinary, those would remain where they're at, but the front part of that building would become our utilities department. And in lieu of that, we would be demolishing the utilities building that's located on Pine Street. Moving into year 2, this is where we see a restructuring at our middle school level. So you'll see that for our middle schools, we will be moving our 7th and 8th grade students into West, making West the 7th and 8th grade building for the Taylor School District. Kenyon Elementary would become the new 6th grade for the Taylor School District. In all of those changes, we would rename the campus Taylor Middle School, so you would have one name under both buildings. And we also acknowledge that when we do that campus style, we will also be making alterations to ensure that when our kids are commuting from building to building for their elective classes, that we will provide that secure, safe walkway. So we know, as we are going to talk about later on, the alterations that we're proposing to all of our district's properties that you'll see in the slides ahead.
So when you look at this slide here on the utilization and the green chart, and you look at the bottom, that is where it's talking about, as the plan was to move both middle schools into current Taylor High School. That shows you what the utilization rate would have been if we went forward with that plan. So currently we have a utilization rate in our middle schools of 69% and 72%. But when we put them into that high school facility, it's going to drop that utilization to 42%. And that would be something, as we said, very concerning, considering the state recommends 80-90% utilization. And we would be dropping that far by proceeding with that as the plan.
So for the second part of the year 2 plan, we'll also see additional restructurings at the elementary level. The proposed plan is that Randall Elementary would be relocated to Hoover Middle School, and that would be renamed Randall Elementary. That building will also have alterations done to it to make sure that we accommodate to make it an elementary. The second part would be closing of Taylor Parks Elementary, and we would be demolishing the Taylor Parks Elementary building, and those kids would be split between the new Randall Elementary as well as Blair Moody Elementary School. With the old Randall building, we will also be demolishing that building as well. As you can see, the reason why these buildings are being consolidated the way they are is because what we're showing you on the green tape. So similar to the last table, the blue one, the first row is the building names. So we'll be going from 8 elementaries to 6 elementaries with 1 middle school instead of 2 middle schools. In the second row, you'll see that the expected building capacities. Now you can look and see that there is a difference in the capacities. That is because after our alterations that we're proposing to those buildings, the capacities of those buildings will increase. Specifically, we want to highlight one thing too. When we're looking at capacities, we are taking into account our district will strive to meet a 28 kid classroom size. We are not looking, when we consolidate, to make classrooms 30, 35, or 40 kids. We know that's not functional for education. We know that that is not a productive learning environment. So our plan and proposal accounts for class sizes to be at 28 kids per room. So you can see that with the increase of the building's capacities, our expected enrollment for for the 2024-25 school year is shown right in the third row of the green. So you'll see at Myers Elementary, our enrollment is expected to be at 358 students, Holland, 362 students, McDowell, 415 students, Blair Moody, 494 students, Kenyon Elementary at 416 students, and then the new Randall Elementary at 657. Our Taylor Middle School campus will have a total expected student enrollment of 1,050 kids. But what, again, the critical thing we want to look at in this table is on that last column, the expected building utilizations. You can see that with this consolidation plan, every single building from the elementary to the middle school level hits the state threshold of that 80 to 90%. So you'll see that Myers is at 84% capacity. Holland is at a 91% utilization. McDowell is at an 87% utilization. Blair Moody is at a 92%. New Kenyon is at a 92%. New Randall is at a 90%. And Taylor Middle School would be at an 84% utilization. And just if you look at the very bottom of the page, we did kind of a breakdown of an overall high level look of the district. So you'll see in the red/pink table, the elementary level current enrollment and utilization. Our buildings, if you take the capacities of all 8 elementaries right now, our elementaries are sitting at a 70% utilization. After this consolidation plan, our elementary buildings will be sitting at a 90% utilization rate, which again meets that state threshold to financially sustain a school and operating. At the middle school level, you'll see that our current utilization is at a 71% when you take both Hoover and West and add their capacities. And then what you'll see is under the new consolidation plan, it'll put our middle school utilization at 84%, which again meets that state threshold to financially sustain schools in our district.
So these slides here, what they do is they're kind of outlining what we had just said. Essentially, these next few are the ones, the moves that would be taking place at the end of this school year. So the first one is that relocation of Kenyon to the Johnson Early Childhood Center. And we would retain the name Kenyon Elementary, and it would just be, we would be moving it over to a new location at that point. The next is that we would be closing Eureka Heights, as we said. We would be moving the students to McDowell and to Holland, and then we would turn what is existing as Eureka Heights into the Eureka Heights Early Childhood Center. And then the last for the end of this year would be that the utility department would move out of its location on Pine Street in the former Pine Elementary School, and they would come to Career Center North at that point.
So in year 2, this is just re-highlighting the Hoover and West Middle School combination into the Taylor Middle School campus. So you'll see that, again, West Middle School will house our 7th, 8th grade students. Kenyon would house our 6th grade students. They would be renamed Taylor Middle School, and it would be one campus consisting of 2 buildings. Again, later on in this presentation, we'll walk through those alterations to show you how we're going to make that functional on that property. And then this next one is the Randall Elementary moving to Hoover Middle School. So this will happen again at the end of year 2. So those students wouldn't start until the fall of 2025 in that building. The current Randall Elementary School would be closed and demolished as those students would be transferred over to the Hoover, the new Randall Elementary School. Again, Hoover would be renamed Randall Elementary School as well. For Taylor Parks, we would be closing the Taylor Parks building, and those students would be split between the new Randall Elementary School and the Blair Moody Elementary School. And then with the building, the Taylor Parks Elementary School building, that building would be demolished. So we know that with all of these alterations at our elementary level, we need to clean our district's boundaries up. We know that currently the way that our district has our elementary boundaries is not sustainable. We have parts of elementaries that are islands. So they go from one side of the city all the way to the other. With this consolidation plan, what we're proposing is cleaning up those boundaries and making it functional and efficient for those buildings. We know that this comes with a lot of change. We know that it comes with building changes. It comes with, you may be going to school with your friends at one place and then going to a whole new school. We understand that, but we also understand this is all in the effort to make our district financially sustainable because we are facing that looming deficit. As you can see in this map, the gold or the yellow is the proposed New Holland Elementary boundaries. The light purple is the new Randall Elementary boundaries. The pink is the new Blair Moody Elementary boundaries. The darkish purple is the new Kenyon Elementary boundaries. The green is the McDowell Elementary boundaries. And then Myers is the blue elementary boundaries.
So we know as we go through this process that some of our buildings are going to need to be updated. We're going to need to be able to accommodate what's going to come through with these moves. And so we're going to kind of talk through some of the elementary schools and the middle school piece to kind of outline some of the things we see that are going to be necessary. So the first one up here is the current Johnson Elementary School, the proposed Kenyon Elementary School. So in this outline of the building, you see that we have classrooms that are colored in green. Those classrooms that are colored in green, and you'll see this on each of the maps, these are the classrooms we know that are needed for general education and special education programming. But we also recognize that in elementary schools, there are other programs, other needs that they must have classrooms dedicated for, be it the library, be it a sensory room, a music room. Like we know we're going to have those needs in each school. So we've outlined those needs in the orange classrooms that you can see up there. So in terms of the Johnson Elementary School, we have a building capacity that is going to be at 450. We're projecting the enrollment to be at 416. And again, the key is keeping those class sizes to where it's at 28, not going to where we would consider the contractual max that is allowed for our teachers. We know that in this facility, we're going to have to look at new windows. That one of the biggest things is the parking lot. And you did see that that was in our discussion that we had earlier with Mr. Kent when he came to the microphone, because the current Johnson parking lot is just not going to be sustainable for a full elementary school at this point. And that is why that has become a point of priority. They would need, the Kenyon Playground would be moved over to this location. We have already discussed with the playground companies that that is something that they can do, and it is something that they can do rather easily to move what we have put in from the bond already. We also know that there'll be a new storage shed necessary, and that we would also, in the courtyard where I believe currently there is a playscape, we would take that playscape, which would go with the preschool program, but we would convert that space to an outdoor educational space for the school to use.
So at, I believe, is it McDowell? My face is covered. Okay. At the McDowell Elementary School, the proposed alterations, and this is going to be very similar to Myers as well, because Myers and McDowell are identical buildings. You'll see that 115, that room currently, what we are proposing is to convert that into a classroom. So you'll see that we are going to extend the wall back into the library. We would make that a classroom. 113 is another alteration that we'd be making to the building. Currently, there are 2 resource rooms and they're small. What we're proposing is to kick that wall back to make it flush with the rest of the building, to be able to open that space up to convert that into a classroom. With those alterations, you can see that it allows us to increase our building capacity to 475 students there at McDowell. The expected enrollment is 415 students, and again, keeping to 28 students per classroom. The building improvements that we are proposing for that building would be new windows, the additional classrooms I talked about, flooring improvements, door installations to ensure that we have secure exterior doors, as well as interior doors into these little corridors between the classrooms, because that'll be where a lot of our student services staff are. In addition, we would be looking at providing additional storage shed at that building, as storage would need to be expanded there at the building.
So our next building that would need to be addressed, and this is where we would have to definitely make some changes that would be quite different from where our current layout is at Holland Elementary. So when you look on this map here, if you notice where we have listed as a classroom as room 116, that is what is currently being used as the entrance. So we know that we would have to build a wall and construct out where we're building a space for 2 classrooms to fit in there. Again, these would be the classrooms that we're using for those sensory rooms, for the music rooms, for those items. And hence I know, because some asked about 116 and the size, that would be looking at a spot for that sensory room that the school would need. So again, what's in the orange, that's what we're looking at for those needs. And then the other classrooms would be for the special education and the general education programming. The other big piece of note, if you look at room 104 on there, that is currently the office space for Holland Elementary. So again, we would have to do similar to what we're doing on the other side of the hallway, and we'd have to build that out and make that as classroom space to make this work. We would move the main entrance, because like I said, that's currently at 116, but the main entrance would go to the doorway that is on the cafeteria currently. And if you notice in yellow right there, that is built around that spot at that main entrance, that's the area that would become the offices for Holland Elementary School.
And when the building was originally built, that was the offices too. So it can accommodate those needs.
So again, as much of our properties, we are looking at, there are going to be some other necessary improvements that go into it. Particularly, I know at Holland, the windows are in really bad shape. And that would be something that we do need to address at that point. Again, we'd be looking at the additional classrooms, and we would be looking at making sure that we are taking care of flooring changes through this process as well, and making sure that the portable that's outside is renovated and can be used for storage for the building.
So now moving ahead, looking at the Taylor Middle School campus. The former West building would be considered building 1 of the campus. So there are going to be major alterations that are going to be needed to be made at this building, as it will be our 1 middle school. So because of that, we'll have to make that building ADA compliant. As you can see, we'll start at the yellow classroom, number 2. That is what we're proposing to be our Poe-High classroom for that building. And that is mainly because it's the only classroom in that building that butts up to bathrooms. And we know that we have to have those doorways cut in to allow those kids in that program to enter that bathroom and out of that bathroom.
And for clarification, those bathrooms, as they currently stand, they are used for events. So they typically, the administration at West does not have those open for student use, because those are event bathrooms. So during the day, it would remain that way, that it would be closed to other students, but open for the Poe-High. And then in the evening, if we have an event, we'd make sure that it's closed off for the Poe-High rooms, but available for events still.
Right above that, you'll see classroom number 1. That is the current band and choir room. Again, given the fact that we are combining 2 middle schools, we know there may be an additional need for space in our performing arts classes, so for our band and choir. So the proposal is that if need be, we would expand that to make it a larger band room to accommodate more students in there. Classroom number 3 would be our new choir or proposed choir room. And then classroom number 4, again, meeting that need for a sensory room. And then right between number 3 and 4 would be that new maintenance office as well at that building. As we make our way down that hallway, number 4, you'll see there's an elevator room. So this is, again, a component, because we're making that building, the 1 middle school, it would have to be ADA compliant. So we would be putting an elevator in that building. And it's a perfect fit, as right now it sits as the concession stand and it sits as a maintenance room. So we know we can move the maintenance room further down the hall and be able to put the equipment in there, because right above that on the 2nd floor, you'll see the fan/elevator room. Currently, that space is split into 2 rooms. It's a storage room, and then it's also the fan room. So we would just knock the wall down and be able to build the elevator up to that 2nd floor to make it ADA compliant.
And we do know, because they did put a lift in at West last year, like that is still an option, but we know when we have a full POHI program in the building, the lift does not move very fast. We're gonna need other options as well.
And then when we look ahead down that hall across from the elevator room, you'll see the hallway that's between the gym and the cafeteria. The proposal is that that is the hallway where our students would be entering and exiting to get to the other building number 2 on the campus. So we would have that hallway be where students enter and exit to get to the next building for their elective classes. The purple room that's right there next to the entrance is the proposed new security room. That way we're ensuring that the students entering our building are our students, as well as ensuring that we have security that's near that student walkway. So in case anything were to happen, we can have people on site right away. And then we'll also be having security like we do at the high school that's monitoring the grounds as well. And then as we make our way down to the library, you'll see that there are the classroom that's across from it is being converted into additional offices. This is to support our student services. So this is our attendance agents, our dean of students, our EL teachers, our resiliency coaches. We know that there's additional need for spaces in those rooms. And that is also on the 2nd floor too. You'll see right next to room number 34, those additional offices would be up there as well.
So this takes us to what we'll say as building 2 of the Taylor Middle School campus. This is what is currently Kenyon Elementary School. One of the things, and we do need to talk about between both of these buildings, is that there would have to be a major alteration to the parking lot as it currently stands. Currently, if you've ever been between Kenyon and West, there's a long row of parking that goes between the 2 buildings, and it leads up to a big loop at the other end. In order for us to have a secure walkway that we put in between the 2 buildings, that's going to have to be shortened up significantly. And that is where we would propose that we would have a bus loop. By doing that, we know that we're going to have a need for obviously more parking on this campus. But be it that this is becoming all middle school and that we are moving the Kenyon playground to Johnson Elementary School, we know that where the current playground is, that can become parking for these locations as well. So there'd be major impact on what we have for the parking there. And then that allows us to have that walkway between the 2 buildings. If you're looking on the map there and you see the 2 classrooms in yellow, the door at the end of that hallway, that would be the entry and exit between the 2 schools. And the 2 yellow classrooms is where we would propose for the POHI program when it comes to the 6th grade students. That is where we would locate those facilities. Again, that purple area, that's where we would be talking about for a security office for this location. How this lays out a little differently. In the elementary schools, we talked about the orange colored classrooms as being ones for like sensory rooms, music. Essentially, since we're looking at this from a middle school standpoint, those would be used more for our elective classes. And we have put them on the end of the building closer to that entryway because there is that potential that you could have 7th grade or 8th grade students traveling over to here for a class that would take place in this location. And because of that, we didn't want those all the way at the other end of the building, making it harder to travel to or going past all the classrooms that would have the 6th grade general education and special education classes going on. So it's trying to be very cognizant of where we were placing that. We do also recognize that as this becomes a middle school, there is going to be a different need in what currently we have as offices as we staff this with principals. So we did put in additional office space and I can't see. Number 9 is where you would see that office space that we would be putting in as addition.
A key thing to highlight is that when we talk about a secured covered walkway, that would go from entrance to entrance. So when the moment those kids walk out, it'll be a secure and covered walkway all the way to the point when they enter the next building. We aren't proposing it just to be open and it's a sidewalk. No, this would be definitely be able to to direct the kids in one direction and one direction only. So the next building that we wanted to highlight alterations on is what would be the new Randall Elementary and the former Hoover Middle School property. So as you can see, the building will have a capacity of roughly 725. The expected enrollment should be around 657 students. With this building, we know there's a unique aspect to it in the sense that some of the classrooms, if anyone's ever been into Hoover, they are small. Some of those classrooms are small. And to say that we're gonna fit 28 kids in that building or in a classroom is unrealistic. So that's why you'll see that change from 25 to 28, because we know that the physical space needs to accommodate the amount of students that it would be functional for learning. You'll see in this building as well, classroom number 6, that's currently the POHI room. Right now, that is 2 separate rooms, but it's truly not 2 separate rooms. It has a large cutout that connects the two. What we're proposing is just to fully remove the wall and make it one large classroom. You'll see the yellow rooms, which are 3 and 9, and that is the proposed sensory rooms. And that's because we know that with this building being larger, there's going to be a higher need for those rooms. As you can see it in classroom number 1, that's the former band room. So that would be similar to a music room for the elementary. Classroom number 2, which is the current choir, that would be the STEAM room. And then it does have a separate gym and cafeteria. So our gym classes will be able to operate uninterrupted during our lunch program because that building is so large. All the rest of the classrooms, you can see those will be general ed and special education classrooms. But the last major renovation we want to highlight is around classrooms number 21, 22, 23, and 24. Currently, there's not a hallway that connects those classrooms. What we're proposing is to build a hallway that connects them. And that's because if you've ever been to Hoover, if you're in classroom 21, to get to classroom 22, you have to walk through that classroom. That's not functional for an elementary, nor is it functional for a class. So we would extend that hallway down there so that way there's direct access into those rooms, as well as adjusting the rooms to make sure that they're equally distributed in size. With this, the building improvements that we're considering are the air conditioning and heat fixes to the building. So this will be an elementary that has air conditioning in it. We have a double playground installation. So that double playground installation is to meet the needs of those kids. So we would be taking the Randall Elementary playground as well as the Taylor Parks playground and putting that at that Randall location. As we talked about, the additional hallway, the classroom wall removals, roofing and ceiling fixes, mainly around that cafeteria area. The roof on the building is mostly brand new, except for that cafeteria area. And then just general classroom improvements, making sure that we're painting and making sure the flooring is correct.
Next, we have proposed alterations for Blair Moody Elementary School. As Blair Moody currently stands, it does not need major renovations in terms of moving classrooms, creating new classroom space. What exists there currently would fit the needs of what students would be coming to Blair Moody. More importantly, what Blair Moody needs is upgrades in terms of the parking lot. It needs windows that would need to be replaced. We would need to talk about moving another one of those playgrounds, making sure they have an additional playground. And then we know that there are some issues with the heating, and that would be something else we would have to address.
As I spoke about before, the Myers alterations, they're very similar to McDowell. We would just be building that additional classroom number 11, as well as the additional classroom number 9. The key improvements of this building would be new windows. Currently, they're actually getting 2 new storage sheds. So that is actually being done by our students in the building trades program. So that is actually being met, that need. And also, for that building, we know that there's going to be exterior updates needed as well. And what we mean by that is the repainting of the trim around the building, because we know that there's a buildup of algae and it doesn't look the greatest. And so we want to make sure that we're improving that building to have a great look on the outside. With those alterations, that increases our capacity of the building to 425. Our expected enrollment of that building would be 358. And again, we are committed to making that 28 kid classroom commitment.
So that is kind of everything we have out there as proposed as alterations and what we would be looking at going forward. We know that we've thrown a lot of information out in a very short amount of time. So we are looking that we will be scheduling a special board meeting on January 8th to take questions and answers, because we're going to need a lot of time, I know, in the community to process everything that we've put out there. And we want to be able to best answer questions for everybody at that point. We will also be putting up on the website a spot where people can start submitting questions now, so that we can start to answer and we can start to prepare to give the community even further information as we go forward.
So just to reiterate, the reason why we are doing this is because our district is on that path to hit a financial deficit in this next school year. We have to take actions so that way our district isn't put at risk. We know that we have time with doing this plan. It buys our district an additional 4 to 5 years. But with these alterations, our district will be looking to save about roughly $3 million a year in operating costs, which cuts that deficit in half. So with that, it buys us enough time, and our other goal is through natural attrition is how we would meet the need of the remaining amount. We know that there's a high volume of retirements coming in the district. And so we know that there are going to be ways that our district can look to right size our staffing in the district. And our commitment is out there that we are not looking to lay individuals off. We are not wanting to cut pay of our individuals. Back when Mike was here in this district, the district every single staff member took a 10% pay cut. Mike said it perfectly. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable to ask that of our staff when they did it once, so that we weren't in this position again.
And I'll say that because when our staff took that pay cut, it was with the understanding, it was with a promise that we wouldn't find ourselves in this boat again. And that is why it is just absolutely not acceptable for us to be able to go back to our employees and say, hey, you're going to have to cover the cost of this. It's just not where we need to be. And we also know from the vantage point of our families and our students, cutting staff is not where we need to be either. So the place we need to be right now is making sure that we are right sized on our facilities and that we're using everything to its fullest potential.
Is there any discussion? Moving on to item number 8, action items. And I just want to reiterate before we get into this, the action for this plan will not be taken during this. It'll be taken after public comment to give the audience the abilities.
Action items. Number 1, out-of-state field trip request, Cedar Point, policies 2340 and policy 8640. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the following out-of-state field trip request: West Middle School, Cedar Point, Sandusky, Ohio, May 30th, 2024. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Myers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, that,
Tom.
okay, Mrs. Thomas. Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Schufel?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Ms. Black is a yes. Mr. Heath?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
It carries 7-0. Number 2, that's not an overnight, is it?
It's out of state.
Out of state. Okay, out of state field trip request, Imagination Station, policy 2340 and policy 8640. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the following out of state field trip request: Eureka Heights Elementary, Imagination Station, Toledo, Ohio, February 9th, 2024. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Myers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Heath. Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Shufelt,
Yes.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Ms. Block is a yes, Mr. Heath,
Yes.
Mr. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Number 3, overnight conference request, Grand Rapids, policy 6550. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the overnight conference request for James Bergler, Victoria Frangiotakis, Marquita Moore, and Brian
Zora.
Razor. You know what, I had that, and I messed it up anyway. To attend the Michigan Music Conference, January 25th through the 27th, 2024. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Myers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Thomas. Mrs. Shufelt,
Yes.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Ms. Block is a yes, Mr. Heath,
Yes.
Mr. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas.
Yes.
That carries 7-0. Motion number 4, Taylor Association of Central Staff Administrators, TAXA Memorandum of Understanding. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the MOU between the Taylor School District and the Taylor Association of Central Staff Administrators, TAXA, regarding the retirement incentive. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Myers. Is there a second?
Second.
Yep, okay, Mrs. Thomas. Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Ms. Black is a yes, Mr. Heath,
Yes.
Mr. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mrs. Shufelt.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. 5, Taylor Principal Association, TPA Memorandum of Understanding. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the MOU between the Taylor School District and the Taylor Principals Association, TPA, regarding the retirement advancement. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Myers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Thomas. Ms. Black is a yes. Mr. Heath.
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas.
Yes.
Mrs. Shufelt.
Yes.
Mr. Wright.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Number 6, Taylor Federation of Teachers, TFT Memorandum of Understanding. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the MOU between the Taylor School District and the Taylor Federation of Teachers, TFT, regarding the retirement advancement. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Myers. Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, Mrs. Thomas.
Mhm.
Mr. Heath,
Yes.
Mr. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mrs. Shufelt,
Yes.
Mr. Wright.
Yes.
Ms. Black is a yes. Motion carries 7-0. Number 7, 26M, Taylor School Support Staff Association Memorandum of Understanding. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the MOU between the Taylor School District and the 26M Taylor Schools Support Staff, TSSSSA, regarding the retirement advancement. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Myers. Is there a second?
Second.
Is that Mrs. Thomas again? Mrs. Thomas.
Yes.
Is that Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Shufelt?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Ms. Black says yes. Mr. Heath?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0. Number 8, request to hire Director of Special Education, Policy 3120. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the hiring of Erica Smith for the position Director of Special Education. Salary for the position will be $91,296. CD1 prorated. Ms. Smith's start date will be Monday, January 29th, 2024. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Myers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Thomas. Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mrs. Shufeldt,
Yes.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Ms. Black is a yes, Mr. Heath,
Yes.
Mr. Myers,
Yes.
motion is carried 7-0. Number 9, request to hire Dean of Students, policy 3120. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the hiring of Ryan, is it B?
Bibby.
Phoebe, for the position Dean of Students at West Middle School. Salary for the position will be $80,000, step 1 prorated. Mr. Reedy, start date will be Monday, January 8th, 2024. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Myers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Thomas. Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mrs. Shufeldt,
Yes.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Ms. Black is a yes, Mr. Heath,
Yes.
Mr. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Motion is carried 7-0. Number 10, request to hire student support staff, policy 3120. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the hiring of Miguel Vargas for the position student support provider at Myers Elementary, kindergarten through 2nd grade. Salary for the position will be $40,000 prorated. Mr. Vargas's start date will be Monday, January 8th, 2024. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Myers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Heath. Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mrs. Shufeldt,
Yes.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Ms. Black is a yes, Mr. Heath,
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Motion is carried 7-0. Number 11, Johnson Moody Parking Lot, policy 6320. It is recommended the Board of Education approve and award PEA Group for the civil engineering services contract pending final negotiations of the term by the district's legal counsel. The project award recommendation for the Taylor School District Civil Engineering Service RFP is $56,700. This total includes a project award amount to PEA Group for $36,700 and a project contingency amount of $20,000. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Myers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Thomas. Ms. Black is a yes. Mr. Heath,
Yes.
Mr. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mrs. Shufeldt,
Yes.
Mr. Wright.
Yes.
Motion is carried 7-0.
Moving on to item number 9 on our agenda, the superintendent's report.
So first off, again, I know I said it a few moments ago, but I can't reiterate this enough. I encourage everyone in the community, I encourage all of our staff to take time, process what we've laid out today. It is a lot that we are asking of this community. I know these are the correct things that we need to do to make ourselves fiscally responsible so that we are providing the best opportunities going forward. But I just want to take that moment for everyone to do that reflection and just remind that we need to take care of ourselves through this as well and find those supports, find those things that are going to help you process through this. The only other piece I want to add to my superintendent's report is, and I'm going to put on my old history teacher hat for a few moments. I love when I have the opportunity to do that, but, and I know I put this in my newsletter for this month, but I just wanted to talk about an event that took place in World War I during the first year of World War I. And it was a truce that happened at Christmas in 1914. It's one of the most remarkable stories of what humanity can be when we strive to do the right things and we strive to recognize the good in other people. And I think that's very fitting at this time of year, and especially with what we're talking about. But essentially at Christmas in 1914 on the Western Front in France, you had both sides, the Allied and the Central Power sides, They stopped fighting. They came out of their trenches, their nasty trench warfare that was taking place. And they actually went to the people who were their enemy, who they were told to hate, who they were told to shoot. And they met in the no man's land and they celebrated Christmas together. And they sang songs and they gave gifts to one another. And they did these things because they could recognize that the other people on the other side were humans as well. And they were just being told what to do, being given orders to go in there and fight. And when they had to return, because eventually the generals took their course and said, you got to return to your trenches. And then they asked these people to open fire on each other again. And people couldn't do it because they now knew what it was, and it caused a major problem. And hence why, you know, when you hear of wars and things that take place now, it doesn't happen. Because when we have those items and when we build those things and we fight and these things happen, it's a way for us to not recognize that humanity in other people. And I just want us to encourage each other to find that time this holiday season to look at others, find the goodness, and recognize that in other people. Thank you.
Moving on to item number 10, our consent agenda, Ms. Black.
Consent agenda policies 166.1 and policy 6470. Number 1, the minutes from December 6, 2023 regular board meeting. Number 2, consolidated items, payment of current bills, certified, non-certified, and administrative reports. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Myers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Thomas. Mr. Heath.
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas.
Yes.
Mrs. Shufel.
Yes.
Mr. Wright.
Yes.
Ms. Black is a yes. Motion carries 7-0.
Moving on to item number 11, items scheduled for next agenda, Monday, January 8th, 2024. We have our special board meeting, which is a community Q&A. Next, we have item number 12, which is public comment. Thank you to all those who could be with us tonight. We understand the importance of continuing to keep you informed and providing an opportunity for you to be heard. Public comment will begin with those in person and then move to our online audience. For those in person, please step up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. After the in-person comment, our online audience will need to find the raise hand symbol for our moderator to recognize and unmute you. Please take into consideration common courtesy, refrain from any personal attacks, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. We will provide and assist with timekeeping so each guest will be able to monitor their own time and know when to conclude, so all who wish to speak will have an equal opportunity to do so. As a reminder, if there are any questions at this meeting or by some other avenue, Superintendent Michael Wager or his designee will work on getting those answers to you in a timely manner. In person.
Caroline Pat, 6860 Jackson. First of all, you have such a soft voice. I didn't hardly hear anything that you said. So if you could next time at the next meeting or whatever, and last meeting when I was at home listening on the Zoom, I couldn't hear what you were saying. And I know you just have a soft voice anyways, but if you can put that mic up, would really appreciate that. For those of you, and I know a lot of people have already gone, if you notice that we have some memorabilia out for the Taylor schools, not just our high schools, but we have middle schools and we have elementary schools back there. That's just a drop in the bucket of what we have collected since 1997. And so with all of this happening now, I'm gonna have to come back and ask for more room because everything that's gonna be changed and collected and everything like that. So I just wanna kind of let you know I'm still around and you're gonna be hearing from me again. A couple of questions I have is I noticed when you did the maps for Holland and the 6th grade academy, I did not notice the library. You know, the other ones had library in a big block, so.
It was just because the map listed it, but they are.
So they do have a library. Okay, thank you on that. And also, it was mentioned that the PRC IT will be moving here.
Yes.
But the print department is not moving?
So we're looking at that specifically because the machinery is so large. So it might be the one thing that remains there.
And if it does stay, you have one person there in that building.
Mhm.
not a good thing.
Yeah.
Security wise, safety wise, not a good thing.
So we're also evaluating moving that machinery into this building and housing it here.
That's one concern I would really have, is not to have one person
Yeah.
in one building. So, okay. I think that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Megan Myers. And I just have a few questions about the changes that are getting made in the district. Where are we getting the funding from this? Because I noticed you said that we were almost in a deficit,
Mhm.
and like, if we're almost in a deficit, how are we getting the funding for all of these changes?
So I can highlight a key thing, and this is something that I just want to make sure everybody is aware. When the school district passed our bond, each elementary building had a construction sheet that was done and submitted to the state. And that is what also the voters voted on when they voted for the bond. So each elementary school already had a certain amount of money that was being allocated towards it. We are not pulling money from the high school. We are not pulling money from the middle school. What we're utilizing is that existing pot of money that is currently there for the elementary school. So it's roughly around $1 million each building that was already allocated per the bond and what was submitted to the state and what the voters approved. That money is there. And then in addition, because we are consolidating the buildings, that money that's freed up from us closing those buildings, that will be redispersed into the elementaries so that we can meet those improvements.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
So it's a lot of information to hear. A lot of misappropriation of funds from my understanding. My first, sorry.
Can we have your name real quick? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I'm Courtney Anderson. I'm an ATA over at Johnson Early Childhood Center, possibly somewhere else, I don't know. So my first question is, when this was all happening, Kyle, you've been on the board since 2021.
Mhm.
How were you not aware of what was going on during that time period? If you can answer that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can share this with you. When the state of Michigan, so per the guidelines, the application specifically for ESSER 3 does not come to the board for approval.
Right.
Rather, the administration fills out that application and submits it. Our policies don't regulate that they have to bring that application to us. So what we discovered was that that application, the fact that it wasn't brought to us, counted for all those salaries. And so that's why we're here today, because what we're unveiling through the discoveries is that the application that was submitted, 98% of it was used towards salaries and benefits.
So with that bond money, I'm sorry, the COVID money being misused, was that illegal or was it legal?
So it was approved by the state. The issue
Okay.
isn't that anything was illegally done, it was irresponsibly done.
Perfect.
There is no sustainability plan to sustain those salaries and benefits that they put the ESSER dollars towards.
Yeah, and
Okay.
again, as I said earlier, that's the big problem is because if you were gonna put it to salaries and benefits, you needed to say like, this is the cutoff, because they were quite clear, like if we did, there was gonna be a cliff that
Right.
you would face.
Well, yeah, because the money ends at some point. You can't
Yes,
just keep
correct.
going. So then my other concerns is, being that I do work at Johnson, we are a growing building. We already have numbers coming in from TOTE that we're expected to grow. We've already hired a new special education teacher. Our building currently is basically maxed out, with all rooms being utilized. So with this and the potential growth numbers from that building alone, do you not see predictions in the future where your elementaries would have grown to be bigger? And then how do you take care of the overage of students? Where are they going to go? Or is it going to become one of those issues where there's now a flux in students and teachers are now teaching again 30, 35 students like before COVID, because all these COVID babies, they're hitting us.
So I can speak on that. So specifically to the size of where the new early childhood center is, we're already talking with Lee to discuss that size of the building. I know you all know Lee's on top of it. So we're working with her just to make sure that if there are alterations to that building, what those could look like to meet that need for the preschool. In addition, we have in our possession in the district, we do have 2 more district properties that they're offline to the public or to the students.
Correct.
Because they're rented out, and those specific buildings are the Fisher and Waring buildings. So those buildings will still exist because they're being rented currently in the school district. So if there ever is that need for students, because we're growing, then we do have those additional buildings to fulfill that need. I do want to point out, the one thing that we did acknowledge, though, is for the past 40 years, our district has seen a decline in enrollment every single
Oh, I
year
know.
for 40. This was the first year, and it was a miracle that we actually grew.
Yeah.
And we're appreciative, and we want to strive to retain that. But we know we're also looking at the realistic history of where the Taylor School District is. But we do know for a fact that we do have those buildings as that buffer if needed.
I have one quick question if I can.
Yeah.
continue. Okay. If these, so you have all these incentives for people to retire.
Yes.
What happens when you don't get those numbers? Because I just got a list of everyone from 1995 all the way to now. What if those projections that you think are gonna happen, you don't hit it?
So currently, we've been talking with our unions specifically to talk about what are the expected numbers? I know at the middle school, the thought and the estimate is that we're roughly going to have about 10 middle school teachers that are retiring this year.
There's more with potential, but
Yes.
that's what we're
And,
expecting.
and just alone tonight at one of the elementaries that I was presenting at, there were 2 teachers in the room that said they were retiring. So I know that there are retirements that are in the system. We're going to account for those. If we don't meet that threshold, again, we have that 3 to 4 years of retirements to meet that deficit need, to cover that deficit.
And that was why I wanted to speed up the timeline, was to give
Yes.
us that information so that we can start having those conversations.
Well, yeah,
and
because
figure
you're
out what the
trying
next
to
step is.
keep from layoffs happening.
Yes.
you know, Which I totally get. I appreciate you guys giving me time. I was a lot more hot-headed before I came in here. But I know you guys kind of walked into a mess, and a lot of you did. And, I thank you for being more transparent than I thought you were going to be. Would you guys ever be opposed to actually going to schools and talking with staff? Because that meeting that's gonna happen on the 8th, I think it's gonna be out of control. There's gonna be a lot of people. So if you're that opposed,
No, that's been in our,
Johnson's my
that's been in our
family. Those are
talks
my
as well,
people.
so.
Yes,
know.
so, but yes, we're gonna be doing the community Q&A as well as we're gonna be talking with those buildings, and going to those buildings, and also hosting actual town halls at those elementaries to talk to the families as well.
And Johnson.
Yeah. Yes, and Jeff.
Don't forget us, man.
No.
We got the littles, but like, we're trying, okay?
No.
We're mighty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tess Martinez. I'm also a part of the Johnson team. I'm a para over there. My main concerns is when you have all these building maps and stuff, Johnson, the new school is nowhere to be found on there. I know you said they're moving to Eureka Heights. I just want to know what's going to happen with the special ed kiddos there.
So I think the big part here is, we know there's lots that goes into the licensing for the preschool program. And we know that there are gonna have to be upgrades. And it was at a point where I don't think we could have laid it all out in one of those maps at this point, because we're still putting all that together of what the licensing is gonna require in that.
But it will be done on time?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
everything?
yeah.
So our biggest thing is to, when we look at those maps, a lot of those class sizes are based on square footage. So we know that we have to get the square footage of all those rooms so that we know how many kids can be in those rooms. So that's why the maps, we couldn't put it on there today because there's a lot of those licensing requirements we have to filter through, which we're working with Leah.
Rich Pratt, 24403 Hayes. You mentioned Waring, and that is my concern. Did you look at deed restrictions on the schools you're closing? Waring exists because you sold it to, you're gonna sell it and you couldn't. I just want to make sure the district doesn't end up with more vacant property we can't do anything with that we have to pay for.
So the buildings that would be, so that Randall building that's being demolished and the Taylor Parks building that's being demolished, both properties do not have deed restriction.
And same with Pine.
Yes.
Okay, that was my concern.
Stephanie Pratt, same address as his. I am here as a parent and an employee. I also work at Johnson. My first question actually is, if Johnson is so critical to your plans, why were we not listed or handled as part of that utilization study?
So that specifically the Johnson Elementary School as part of the utilization study, That's because of all of those, again, licensing restrictions that we have to be able to map out. So when it comes to the square footage, we have to know the exact square footage because that determines how many students in that room, which then the students per room determines the building capacity. So right now, we're working with our facilities team to be able to measure out those rooms, as well as taking into consideration the additional 4 bathrooms that we would have to build at that building.
Okay, and you've spoken with Ms. McKenzie about the licensing concerns because
Yes.
last time it took over a year to get the building licensed. We have concerns that it would not be able to be done over a summer.
Yeah, and we've
been having those meetings currently,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
having those discussions, yes.
My second question is, part of the reason that, my understanding is part of the reason Johnson was closed as an elementary school and reopened as a preschool is because of its proximity to Blair Moody. So how was moving Kenyon next to Blair Moody going to help any enrollment in the district?
I'm not aware of why Johnson was closed. I was a student in the district during that time. But I know that when we're looking at the actual property, key thing is we can't put an elementary there right now the way that it exists. That's why we are proposing those alterations to make that functional parking, the inflow and outflow of cars, so that way it can be operational as an elementary.
Okay, is there a reason to not just move the Kenyon students to Eureka Heights?
The Johnson building is larger than that.
Okay, thank you.
And it would stay in proximity to its current boundary ranges.
Yes. So to put the Kenyon kids all the way across town, that would create more struggles because between the Kenyon boundaries and the Eureka Heights is McDowell Elementary. So again, we would be creating boundaries that have islands in them.
I thought I saw on the map, though, that there was actually 2 separate locations for Meyer.
So
Okay.
specifically, that is the Inkster portion of the community that we serve. So back when the Inkster School District dissolved, they were split between 3 elementary schools in the district. So what you saw Myers getting was that Inkster, the Eureka Heights Inkster portion that was attending Eureka Heights. They're
So
going to
just to make sure I'm reading the map correctly, though,
Yeah.
we would have no elementary schools south of Goddard or south of Northland.
We would have Myers Elementary.
Myers. Okay, thank you.
Um, Go ahead, sorry. You're good. I'm just joining the meeting again. I kicked off.
My name is Shirley Silva. I work at Eureka Heights. And I just want to know where the money's coming from to renovate all these schools.
So we do have, as we stated, that there is bond money that's been allocated to elementary schools. It's been about $1 million that was put out to all of them. We would be using that money, and we would be using the money from the buildings that were taken offline because they had money that was allocated to them and repurposing it into the needs of the other schools.
So, and my other question is the third party parapros.
What's that? Sorry.
I said the third party parapros,
Okay.
would they have jobs or will we be coming first? The
Well,
ones that
again-
were hired at Taylor?
Well, again, we're doing our best to not have to lose individuals, and because we know that parapros are still going to be needed no matter where those kids go. Like, the needs of what's in their IEPs and what they need, what is mandated that they need is we're still going to need those positions.
And one more question off topic. Joe Brighton has Taylor buses there an hour early, 8 of them sitting there. I just wondered why they're sitting in the parking lot an hour before they're needed.
We can look into that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good evening. Bill Pats, 6860 Jackson. I understand the savings you're looking at over the time period, but where's the funds coming from to start all this?
So that's what we just answered previously. We said that, and in the actual bond that the voters approved, there were worksheets for site work to be done at every elementary. So that was the playgrounds, that was the money allocated for the playgrounds, the money allocated for furniture, and then general small site work at each building. So roughly in the bond that the voters did approve, we're not touching any of the high school allocated funds. We're not touching any of the middle school allocated funds.
Right.
We're just looking at what was allocated strictly for those
So
elementary.
there is money there
Yes.
to do all this funding in all these
Yes.
buildings that you're going to be moving.
Yes, with the consolidation, it allows us to put a
Because
little
I
bit. more.
understand you got to spend the money to make the money.
Yeah.
Okay. The other question I had was on the board there at the junior high at Hoover, you had 750 kids capacity.
Yeah.
But then when you flashed it up for the following year, it went to 725.
Yep.
But you're still looking at 28 kids per class. Shouldn't it be 25 kids per class?
So the key thing with a middle school is your capacity is a little different because of the way that a middle school operates. At an elementary level, because the kids are stationary in one classroom, it means that
They're not moving.
Yeah, they're not moving.
Okay, I understand.
So that's why at a middle school level, you might have a higher capacity, even though the classrooms.
And I believe you're referring to that capacity drop was when you looked at the Pohai room, we would be taking that wall out, so you're losing a
Right.
classroom. when you
Okay.
do that part.
The other thing I have is the high school now, Taylor High School. You guys already put funding into that building for the basketball scoreboards and also in the football fields, and you just redid the track.
Yeah.
That's going to stay there for who?
For the middle school sports.
That's going to be middle school sports.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
We
So that,
understood.
that property will be utilized. Right now, we're evaluating how we would want to do
We
that.
understand.
but
I
it would be, the pool would be operated because it's the only competition pool in the district. The gym would make the middle school's competition gym, and then the football field for middle school sports as well.
Because everything's going to be Taylor Griffiths.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Rhonda Dan, 12720 Robert Street. I've been a part of the Taylor School since 1969. As a student, as a parent, as a teacher, and as a board member, and as a foundation member. And I'm very proud of the district that I'm a part of. I know that the work that you're facing right now is very challenging, very difficult, and problem solving is not an easy thing. And I was a part of the district when we took a 10% cut, and I retired and I never recouped it. So I really appreciate the time and the effort and the thought that every one of you are putting into these really important decisions that affect not just every student, every staff member and our entire community. And even to limit the class size of 28 is phenomenal. As a teacher, I've had class sizes that were well over 30. And so you're still considering the child and the education that they're going to get, and making improvements at every building is unbelievable. It's not something I've ever experienced. When I was a student, we had 24 elementaries. And a lot of decisions over the years that have been made have been in reaction to things and out of necessity. And it sounds like there's a lot of information here, but it sounds like there's a lot of effort and thought that's gone into this plan and will continue to go into it, that will consider every member of the district and the community. So thank you.
Is there any other in person?
My name is Tiffany Gold. I'm a parapro at Kenyon for the ASD room, and I'm a parent. My kids go to Kenyon. My daughter's in 4th grade right now, and my question is, like, is she gonna be able to go to Kenyon? McDowell or?
So-
It's not, I don't.
So in the proposed new boundaries, what we look to do is try to preserve as much of that Kenyon, a lot of the boundaries, we try to preserve as much of those student populations. For the main part, the neighborhood that surrounds Kenyon Elementary, all of those kids would still remain the same. There is a section that would be going to McDowell, but that's the section that's by Allen and Pennsylvania.
My other question is I know that the preschool gym is super small, and I don't feel like that gym is big enough for all of the kids for lunch.
Yeah.
How are you guys going to improve that?
So actually, after discussions with our facilities director and assistant director, the Eureka Heights gym is actually a larger size than the current Johnson gym. So it's actually not by much.
No, I think she was thinking Kenyon too.
Kenyon.
Oh,
Kenyon to
Kenyon to
Johnson.
Johnson. We don't know the
Yeah,
exact
say.
square footage of the two gyms, but they are it's a similar size, to what they are. And
And are you guys promising the teachers from Kenyon to move to the new Kenyon?
so one of the,
That's something that
For
we are
next
gonna have to, because there's contract language with our teachers union that dictates how those kind of things happen. And so we will be having conversations with the teachers union on how to best handle these moves. So I don't know that we have that answer yet, because quite honestly, when I come back from break, my shift is really gonna be into the staffing piece of all this and how we make this all happen. So we don't have that answer quite yet.
we're expected and we have to follow the contractual language that's in each
Right.
union's contract. So that's something we have to work through and with the unions on.
Right.
So,
And then as a district full-time bureaucrat, do you guys have a plan on where all the ASD classes are going to be moved, like for the elementary?
So we are having those conversations, but independent of what we're talking about currently. So again, that's something else we are looking at, possibly having some changes going forward as well.
Because Erica joins on those
Yes,
conversations
correct.
we had with Erica. We know that we had to fill that director position
Yeah.
to then be able to have those conversations with the department to look at what our special education classroom is going to look like across the district at each building. So,
Thank you.
I was kicked out of the meeting once again, so we could start. with whoever's online. The vote will be happening tonight. on this. No, not.
No.
It'll be
Yeah,
open.
you can't vote in closed session, so, yeah. We did want to structure it so that we had the opportunity to hear from public before
Yes.
we actually.
Can we, is there the online?
Good evening, can you hear me?
At the end, after the online.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because the reception and audio is awful tonight. Kathy Fields, 22670 Wood Creek, retired from the school district after 35 years. And Mr. Thomas Lovesuit. Mr. Thomas?
But you were in the suit. Oh, thank you.
Well, as true to form, I can't agree with everybody agreeing. I pretty much just have a statement. First, I feel the need to apologize to Mr. Wager for being brand new with the attempt of moving Taylor schools forward and having been thrown into cleaning up the mess of the previous administration. I don't want to offend any member of this board. I respect you as individuals, and up to this point, I have respected your decisions. I, however, strongly disagree with this plan. Every elementary school in Taylor will be affected, whether it be through school closing, students moving to different buildings, or students having larger populations. Every family with elementary children will be affected. I know part of the intent is to try and improve the educational experience. However, I believe buildings are also part of that experience. If this is money driven, then I have some questions. Where was the oversight? Granted, you didn't have to know that it was COVID monies being spent, but you did have to approve payroll, and you were able to ask questions as to where this money was going. That didn't happen. Why are we going to continue being administrative heavy and hiring 4 brand new positions tonight? Lastly, this board promised transparency. How transparent was the preparation of this plan? Where were the committees? Where was the input from your stakeholders and administration? Where was the input from our families? I believe if this is implemented, you will lose trust and credibility with the public and your employees. Most of all, I fear a loss of Taylor School District families. Not that it matters, but I have lost trust with your decisions. I can't agree. I can't agree moving our little people around like checkers on a board and disrupting their lives and their families and interrupting their education. I just have two questions. Number one, is the previous administration going to be held legally accountable for this situation? And number two, where was the board oversight? I know you're dealing with hard decisions, and I know as individuals, this is a tough decision to make. I think that's it. Yeah, two questions.
Well, I was gonna say, I know that we had difficult hearing because it was a little broken up, the sound in the boardroom, but I think we have the questions. If Mr. Wager could.
So the questions were, are the previous administration, are they going to be held legally accountable? And then the second one was, where was the board oversight? And Kathy, if I'm not paraphrasing you correctly, please feel free to correct.
No, that is correct.
So for the first question, is the previous administration going to be held legally reliable? Right now, our district has not found anything illegal that they have done. What we have discovered was what they were doing was irresponsible. Those are the two key things that we want to make sure that everybody knows. What they were doing was not illegal. It was just irresponsible in the sense that there was no plan to sustain the salaries and benefits. Not a plan that was shared with the board, not a plan that was presented that we knew about to sustain the expenses that ESSER $3 was covering.
Why did this board not question where the COVID money was being spent? The previous administration could spend it the way they chose to. I get that. But where was the board oversight saying, okay, you had however many million, where did you spend it? I want to see where you spent it.
About the oversight.
The oversight?
Yeah.
So specifically to the grant application, the board does not have oversight over what is submitted to the state, as that is the district's administration job to fulfill that grant application and submit it. Our previous assistant superintendent of elementary education, our CFO, were the two individuals that signed off on that application. Again,
it's not the application, Mr. Wright. It's not the application. It's how it was spent.
Not the application, but how it was spent.
How it was spent. So again, we were not made to know what that sustainable plan was.
Why did you not question what he was doing with the money?
Why wasn't there question?
Why did you not question where the money went?
The main reason why is because when the school board looks at the budget, specifically this grant dollar wasn't falling underneath the general fund. What the grant was falling under was a different category. So when we were evaluating our general fund dollars, the general fund was showing that we had a positive fund balance every single year. What we were not made aware was that when they moved salaries and benefits out of the general fund, that eventually that general fund would have to absorb the grant dollars, and there was no plan in place to sustain when those grant dollars, that grant budget, was going to then be absorbed into the general fund.
Nobody asked what? Nobody asked.
Nobody asked.
Because again, the general fund showed substantial improvement every single year.
Your oversight is over all of the money, not just general fund. Your oversight is over all of the money, not just general fund.
Absolutely. Yes, you are correct on that. We are absolutely responsible for the full oversight of that budget. Yes. But when we're looking at the state and what they're doing, then we need to look at also the general fund. And that's where the issue comes now, is we're looking at the state coming in because our general fund would be falling below that threshold that the state requires us to have.
All I'm saying is families are going to be hurt. Kids are going to be hurt. Employees are going to be hurt. And down the line, if we lose kids, you're going to experience layoffs. And we're still top heavy.
So I can,
Right back where we started from.
Ms. Fields, I can say that our district is doing everything in our power to avoid layoffs. That is not the direction nor the corrective action that we're going to be taking. At the current moment, we'll be taking a vote on the consolidation plan here tonight, but that is to protect our people. We know that, yes, a school building is a home for our students, but it's the people that makes that home. We need to make sure we're protecting those people that take care of our kids when they're in those buildings. And that's the goal of this board. We're trying to protect our people because they're the ones that make those kids feel like they're in a second home for most.
Well, my last comment is this board has a very difficult decision. And I believe if you vote this plan up, you are voting to implode our district. Thank you.
Thank you. We can go back to our one in-person audience and then move forward.
First of all, are we still paying for Griff Mills as superintendent?
No, he is no longer employed with the school.
Right, but are we still paying out his contract?
No,
Oh, okay.
No.
Sorry, there's words, so I'm just trying to clarify
You're
on
good.
things and make sure everything's correct. The other issue that I have is if you guys vote on this tonight without giving employees time to come up with their questions and really fully understand this, I mean, you threw this at us today. Like, I don't think it was appropriate nor fair to leave us hanging for a week with speculation, threatening people with jobs if they say anything.
I'll just make that correction. No jobs were threatened if they said anything.
I've heard
Yeah.
a lot of people saying that if they spoke, they would be threatened with termination.
Absolutely not. We have no way of doing that, let alone the unions were present. That would have never flown.
Well, when I was talking to my union, one of my union leaders, he didn't even know about a lot of stuff that was going on. He's like, I have no idea. So if people knew and could have told us, why didn't they? Because they knew about this on Friday.
Are you talking about
Principals?
the principals and the directors?
Yeah, why couldn't they tell us?
Those individuals were told in advance, so that way we were able to actually roll this out and have them feel comfortable. I think it would have been unfair to throw the building administrator into that presentation and then expect them to lead their staff without having any understanding. The district was just doing their due diligence to make sure that we made sure we gave those principals and administrators the time to be able to digest, so that way they could then support you as a staff member. Across the district, we met with a lot of those individuals, and it was very well received that we talked to them beforehand. For example, I was at Randall Elementary tonight, and that was one of the things the principal said, I'm able to digest what I learned last week to then now support you all as you're learning this and as we're going through this together. The quote, if I'm not mistaken, was we're now on this journey together and we're able to provide and support each other.
But we're not, because you're voting on it tonight.
Yeah, I hear your concern is whether we vote or not tonight is what.
No,
your
and I
concern
get
is,
that,
yes.
but my other issue is we were kept in the dark and then just throwing this at us and then you vote, and then it's just going to be what it is. There's no say. And
So
coming from somebody who, again, this is all hearsay because nobody's telling us anything, that you're going to be resigning tonight is a concern. Which, I mean, I'm serious, like this is stuff that's going around. Like you guys have to understand, when you don't communicate or you leave stuff in the balance hanging, this is what people do. I mean, sorry, 90%
No.
of women. So I mean,
they're
No.
gonna run their mouths. I'm being a very
No.
candid person right now.
I'll say I appreciate you asking the questions because especially if rumors are going around, we want to be able to answer those and make sure that the facts are out there. I'm not resigning as a board member tonight. I am not resigning as a board member. I'm here to make sure that I'm helping the district as we navigate this.
Then all I can ask is I implore you guys, before you vote, is we need a little bit more from you guys because we've now gone through a bunch of different changes in the last 3 years with superintendents, board members. We don't trust you. We are all still a family. Whether we agree with you or not, we will always have each other's backs. But right now, you guys, unfortunately, and I know some of you are teachers, and you know, I'm headed that way myself. But right now, this looks really shady after many years of getting stabbed in the back. So for us to trust you that this is a good, appropriate plan that we can be solid in, we have to know that this is fully 100% transparent. And leaving this up for a week and people going, oh, this school's closing, this school's closing. I don't know if this school's closing. Well, I can't say anything because I'll lose my job. I mean, that's scary.
Yeah, and if there was any administrator that felt that, it was not said during that meeting. I mean, you can ask other building administrators, that was not said during that, or district administrators. There's no threat of job loss. It's just false. I don't know what else to say. It wasn't, it was walking them through the exact presentation that
For
each
sure.
building got today and having that conversation with them so that they were able to provide us with questions because we want them to be able to answer any that's going to come their way when, as of today, you guys all know as well.
But we have questions too.
Yes.
And our questions might pertain to your plans that could be potential in changing those plans. And you might not be able to go through with certain things the way you want to. And we, you know, for you to just vote on it and that we have to trust that it's either going to go the way you say or that you will change it when you want because you realize, oh, we can't do this right now. And then you know what I'm saying?
No, I guess, yeah.
It's a
you're-
lot.
You're saying if we vote this through, and then we know we have to make an adjustment, the trust isn't there to say like,
Exactly.
oh, it's gonna happen
Let
that
us
way.
say
So
our
I
piece
get what
and
you're
then
saying,
vote.
yes.
That's all that's all I ask. Give us the
Yeah,
break.
yep.
And then if you guys decide you want to vote yes on it, give us till January, let us speak. Take break, let us all digest, because a lot of people are hot right now. I was hot about 3 hours ago. I'm the assistant superintendent and I greatly apologized. But you know, it's a lot to be thrown at somebody. I'm a parent. That's where my kids go here. Taylor High, Hoover, Taylor Parks. I mean, you're closing half my kids' schools, man, but I can work with it if I can trust you and I can believe in what you guys are doing and you're trying to fix it. But you gotta give us some first.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Then we have Michelle. Oh, 1 second. We just have one online.
Good evening. I hope you guys can hear me. This is Michelle Hodgkinson, 16201 Lauren. I apologize for the scratchy voice. I got the bug that's going around. I want to thank the board and everybody that was a part of making the event at Myers so very, very special. It was such a proud moment and such a heartwarming moment to see the smiles on all the students' faces and the staff's faces. And it took a lot of work to make that come together. And we so much appreciate that. And I also want to thank the board and Mr. Wager and Kyle and everybody for their transparency and hard work on this. Everybody that I've spoken to has been very kind and thoughtful. And I want to really say how much I appreciate that. You guys have a great evening and Merry Christmas.
Julie McCoy, 10831 Westlake Street. I hadn't planned on speaking tonight, but after hearing a couple of people come up and address and ask certain questions, especially regarding the rumor mills, I talk my way through this, so please bear with me. As a longtime community member, parent of recently graduated kids from preschool through the high school, and now currently as a school district employee, I understood in our meeting earlier that this COVID fund was going to run out in September of 24. Hence, we were facing a $4 million deficit. is there any way, shape, or form, I'm sure the question, that this can either be done in smaller steps over the next 2 years? Is there a possibility of doing, I don't want to say better planning, but giving maintenance time to do what they need to do in the buildings, to give the staff and the community time to adjust and ask more questions? Is there just any rhyme or reason why this entire process cannot be done in smaller steps or wait another school year? Is that COVID deficit September deadline that detrimental that it has to be done by the end of this school year to prep for the 24-25 school year?
So I can just say that when we're looking at the budget and we see that we're operating in that deficit, each year we're accounting for an increase in that cost. So the longer that we wait to correct this measure, the longer, quicker that we fall within that threshold of the state possibly coming
So
in.
it is detrimental to a certain degree,
Yes.
that September deadline.
We have about probably 4 to 5 years of a positive fund balance left in the district. And that's why these 2 years, we need to be able to correct that, because we don't want to get to a point where our fund balance is so low. We want to still try to maintain that healthy fund balance. So that's why not waiting until that 5th year is crucial, because then what our district is at is starting from scratch, which we were at previously. We don't want to get to a point where our district is below a 5%.
And in saying that, I've always appreciated your transparency, Kyle, as a student when you were here coming before the board to speak on the various subjects you did, helping to try to improve our school district. You say the 4 to 5 year timeline.
Yeah.
So while I know we have to deal with our problems that we have currently and try to write and to stay out of red, are there going to be talks currently to stave off that 5-year possibility? Like what is the 5 to 10 year plan, or is that just not practical at this point because we're busy dealing with what we're dealing with now?
Can you repeat?
No, if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong in what I'm paraphrasing. here.
Like I said, I'm just kind of going off the cuff
Correct.
here, so.
And kind of what I'm reading here is you're saying like, okay, we're in this emergency mode and we're putting together this plan and we're coming up with this because we know this is the crisis we have on the table right now. Are we doing this and not thinking about that long-term aspect, that 5-year, 10-year strategic plan that really should be developed and should be put in place? But we're not getting to that because we're so in the hyper-focused on the crisis. Did I paraphrase that correctly?
That is perfect,
Okay.
thank you.
So it's essentially like,
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, right now we're trying to solve the issue, because what becomes difficult is when you're in that operating deficit, decisions moving forward. I mean, we have to make sure that whatever decisions that are impacting our programs, our curriculum, that we can sustain that. And right now, we don't know if we are able to, because we don't know, there's nothing that's in place to correct that operating deficit.
So we're working with what we have at the
Yes.
moment, hoping that that's for the future and making plans from there.
and I'll say this, when I was first on board in August, September, we talked about strategic planning. We said that's something that absolutely needs to be done, that we need to start that process. But quite honestly, this has been what became the focus and rightfully the focus at this point.
Okay, thank you very much.
Rich Pratt, 2443 Hayes again. In utmost respect for Superintendent Weiger, my question is, what is the board going to do differently to prevent it from happening again?
So right now, I know that there were previous policies that we're going to be evaluating to change to make sure we have mechanisms specific to our grants in place so that the board can be able to see those. We're working with those right now to change. We're also looking at making sure that moving forward, that any budgetary moving next budget, that all of that is broken down. So making sure the board's going through that workshop to make sure we go through with our CFO line item by line item. We need to be able to see it. I know previously, and in most school districts, they get that general overview of that budget. And so being able to actually see line item by line. That way.
And I will add to this too, that one of my concerns that I noticed, and I think this was a few board meetings ago when we were working with MASB, and to learn that we don't have committee processes in place at this point. Because when I was here as a teacher and as an administrator, building administrator, we used to have finance committees that had various union presidents would sit on them, various stakeholders in the community would sit on them, and it gave it that more oversight to what was taking place. And quite honestly, those kind of things need to be reestablished and re-put back in for this very reason. The more eyes you see on something, the more you're going to see what happens.
Thank you.
Stephanie Pratt, 24403 Hayes. Two questions. When and how are parents going to be notified about this proposal? Because if I did not work for the district, I would not know. And my child also goes to West. My child also goes to Taylor Parks. I am the president of the PTO at Taylor Parks that we just reformed, and now the school is looking to close. I understand it's the oldest school, but I would not know as a parent. Are you even open to hearing from the parents before making a decision?
So I mean, that's something that the board can definitely discuss. I know we have the action after closed session, so that's something we can discuss back there. And then also looking ahead, if the vote was to go through tonight, that's when every single staff member, every single community member, every single parent would be emailed. Our social media would have the video that.
Yeah, we have communication items
But
ready.
is the vote
the
to actually do it, or is the vote just to present the proposal? I guess that's the part I'm also confused on.
So the vote tonight would be to do it, and that's because we're trying to look, because next year we do hit that $4.8 million operating deficit.
And I'll say this from my years of, when I was here as a teacher and as a building admin, there were many times we always came late to the party on all these things, and we were desperately trying to throw together closing a building in April for the next school year, and we just can't get ourselves into that boat. So I understand that part too. It's finding that fine line and that fine
Okay,
balance.
I understand your
Yes.
concern, but on that
Yes.
note, I am going to echo my
Yeah,
coworker's
absolutely.
concern that if you're going to vote to do this proposal without giving more of the staff
Yep.
time to think of their questions, without letting parents address their concerns, I feel very uncomfortable with that. And it does raise questions to me about the transparency issue that has already been raised, that you addressed yourself in the video. Additionally, I see all the numbers. I appreciate all the numbers. I am also going to ask you to consider, I'm not 100% sure that you've considered the human aspect of this. Like I said, I understand Taylor Parks is one of the oldest elementary school buildings. It makes sense if one has to close, that would be one of them. But I cannot overstate the relationships and the families that are in each of these buildings. There is going to be a cost, and it is going to hurt, even if it does become necessary. So a little bit more time and a little bit more explanation, I think would be very helpful, just to help, because I know it's not just the teachers. My kids have a relationship with their lunch lady, that they still go see her down the hallway. So just please consider that the numbers don't always present the human aspect of what we're talking about in making these decisions. And I do appreciate that it's not an easy decision. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on.
Hello, my name is Michelle Sudi, and I'm a teacher at Johnson Early Childhood Center. And my question, well, statement and then a question. The childcare licensing process takes about 6 to 9 months to complete. We can't open or serve children at Eureka Heights until that process is complete. So there's no way Eureka Heights will be licensed by fall or even winter of the 24-25 school year. So what is the plan for all of the GSRP children in Taylor when our current licensed building is filled with Kenyon students and we're not allowed to open as a licensed child care center at Eureka Heights? So we have no home for these children.
To answer that question, we're working with Lee on navigating that whole licensing process. So, and we're
Well, the
working with-
process, I mean, and Lee said that today in our meeting too. She knows that we won't be able to be open in fall or winter. It's a 6 to 9 month process. So it's not a matter of navigating it. It's a matter of where will our home be when we can't open in the fall.
It cut out a little bit. Can you just repeat that? Okay.
I'm wondering where our home will be when we can't open it in the fall. Where will these children go to school?
Again, working with Lee, we're going to be addressing that and making sure that the GSRP program does have a home next year. So,
It'll have to be somewhere licensed, which currently is only Johnson in this district.
thank you.
Hi, Jennifer Myers, 80044 Borton View. Is there a certain person in administration that does the licensing, or is it somebody at Johnson that does it?
It would be the state, the state who has to
Okay.
come in. and-
Because I do know that it could be less than 6 to 9 months. Just from personal experience, because I work in the state of Michigan. So.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is like, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm paraphrasing here, you're saying that
could go
getting a
faster.
license from the state could be less than that time period. But the concern is whether we have the things correct that would allow them to get that going. So, yes.
You can still correct it. It's the information's online. So there is a way to speed it up, but you gotta make sure you're on top of it, and whoever's in charge of it, respond to them immediately. So you could get it done.
Thank you. All right. Moving forward to item number 13 on our agenda, adjournment to closed session. Ms. Blau.
Adjournment to closed session, policy 137.2. Can you hear me, Ms. Batts? Can you hear me?
I don't think so.
Okay. Pursuant to Michigan's Open Meetings Act, being Public Act 267 of 1976, and as amended, I move the board convene in closed session pursuant to 8H, material exempt from disclosure by state or federal statute. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Myers. Is there a second?
Second.
Is that Mrs. Thomas?
She
That
felt.
was she felt. Mr. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas.
Yes.
Mrs. Shufelt.
Yes.
Mr. Wright.
Yes.
Ms. Black is yes. Mr. Heath.
Yes.
7 yeas. We are going into closed session at 9:02.
We are returning from closed session at 10:03 PM. Action after closed session. After consideration, the board is deciding to table the action after closed session until January 8th. We recognize and want to acknowledge that we want to give our community members the time to process this information, be able to come back to us and be able to, in the Q&A forum that will take place on the 8th, be able to ask their questions, and our district will do the best opportunity to answer those questions. We want to make sure that people feel that they're able to digest that information and understand. So is there a motion to table the action after closed session?
See, that's my thunder.
There's a motion by Mr. Myers. Is there a second?
Second. Oh. It don't matter.
Go.
I think we should.
January
Sorry.
10th.
January 10th.
Motion to table the action item until January 10th, regularly scheduled board meeting. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Myers. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Thomas. Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Ms. Shufelt?
Yes.
Mr. Wright is a yes. Ms. Block?
Yes.
Mr. Heath?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
That carries 7-0. The action item of the Taylor School District Utilization Plan will be tabled until January 10th, regularly scheduled board meeting. Moving on to item number 15, board member comments. Are there any board member comments?
Yes, I'd just like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever Hanukkah's over with. Whatever you celebrate, have a happy holiday season. Next year will be a lot of different things for this district. And we're gonna need everybody to get a good holiday under their belt.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
I just want to say, I know today was a very trying day for the Taylor School District. I know a lot of information was given to our staff members. Momentarily, this district will continue to put information out to our parents. We want to make sure that everybody in the district is aware of the plan that is being proposed for action on January 10th. We know that what we are learning today is hard. It's hard for the staff that have been here for a very long time, that have gone through this time and time again and have seen failed leadership. And that is the one thing that we're thankful to have Mike here. I know he stepped into this position as we were discovering this. And I just want to thank him. I want to take the time to thank him because he believed in the Taylor School District and he still believes in the Taylor School District. That's why he's here. He's here because he knows he wants to help us. And so I just want to thank him. So, along with the rest of the cabinet that stepped up into these positions, especially with learning all of what's happening now. Our leaders care. They care and they want to be here and they want to do the right thing. So I want to thank them.
I will agree with Kyle. I know that this is a lot for all of our teachers, our staff members. It's going to be hard on our students. I'm a parent of a student in the district as well. And so even being in this position, it was still hard to take in when we all learned. I know some people probably feel blindsided. We had the same reactions as board members. We're trying and we are putting the children and the employees of the district first. And I also think, Mike, this is not easy for you to come into. I don't want to see our district fail. So thank you. You worked hard on this plan. I think it's a good plan for our district to thrive. I can't imagine probably the sleepless nights that not only you and Kyle have had trying to put this plan in place. And I hope I speak on all of our board members, but we're here to support each other and we're trying to be as transparent with our community as we can. And we hope that you guys are seeing that.
Well said, yeah.
Thanks.
My computer's freaking out.
Any other board member comments?
My computer started freaking out here. Go Blue, go Lions.
There you go.
There you go.
Moving
Oh,
on,
yeah?
moving on to item number 16, adjournment. Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Myers. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Thomas. Mrs. Thomas.
Yes.
Ms. Shufelt?
Yes.
Mr. Wright is a yes. Ms. Block?
Yes.
Mr. Heath?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. Tom?
Yes.
That carries 7-0. The Board of Education regular board meeting for December 20th, 2023 will adjourn at 10:09 PM. Have a great night.